Wake up, it's Chris in the morning light. On KAHI, a day starts right. Foothill news and a smile or two, with a dad joke fresh and the weather too.
Hey!
He's the voice of the hills, keeping it real. Local talk with hometown feel. So grab your coffee, don't hit snooze. It's Chris in the morning with your daily news.
Look at all the dancers in the background. Producer Shane, good morning, everybody. It is Friday morning, June 6th, right smack dab at the top of the hour. It is 6 a.m. here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI. You know what it is. It is the voice of the foothills. Chris Quant with you here, holding it down in beautiful Studio A. Producer Shane, good morning. How are you?
Doing great.
I have a question for you here in a little bit. We're going to wait for a second to get to it. But we're going to call that segment Adventures with Chris here in just a little bit. But before we get to that, I just read out the date. If this date sounds familiar to you, like, well, I feel like I should remember this date. I learned this date in history. June 6th. Anything to you there?
Sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know why.
D-Day, that's what it is. 81 years ago today, D-Day, the D-Day invasion to Normandy there happened. Interesting bit of history here. If you didn't know, this is from the Morning Brew. Of course, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces then, gave a speech to all the troops as they were getting ready to go over, and then visited all of the troops. And basically one of the quotes from that was, "The eyes of the world are upon you," but this from the Morning Brew this morning. But Eisenhower also wrote an alternate speech in case the invasion was unsuccessful on what would later become one of the world's most coveted pieces of scrap paper. The general wrote, quote, "My decision to attack at this time and place was based upon the best information available. The troops, the air, and the Navy did all that bravery and devotion to duty could do. If any blame or fault attaches the attempt, it is mine alone," unquote. The original draft included the phrase, quote, "this particular operation," unquote, but was crossed out and replaced with "my decision to attack." So, wow. He put that note in his wallet and never actually needed to use it. So, yeah, well, just the ways that history go. And he had a speech ready to go either way. And thank God he didn't have to pull that out and use it. But really interesting to know that you're prepared for any eventuality. And I love that. And to me, I think that's, and I don't know, Shane, if you've had this decision where it's easy enough to say, like, hey, this was a group effort. Ultimately, if you're the decision maker, like, well, yeah, it was a group effort, and we all decided to do this. But the fact that he's like, no, I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to take responsibility. At the end of the day, this was my call. And if anything's coming back, it's going to be on me. I'm going to make that call. And if you have feedback, if you have criticisms, if you have whatever complaints you have, I'm going to take that and I'm going to bear the brunt of that. So true leader right there, Dwight D. Eisenhower, talking about his troops and getting ready for D-Day. And that all happened again on this day, June 6, 1944 is when that happened. Had a chance in my early 20s, went over to France and spent some time there with some friends, and kind of once in a lifetime trip there, at least it was for me back then. And we had a chance to go up to the Normandy coast and had a couple of days up there, and did one of the things that I wanted to do was visit the D-Day beaches. So the beaches at Normandy and the beaches at Utah, the American beaches that were there. And you can definitely see there, famously, the troops at Utah Beach had it. It was a little bit easier there. Not that it was easy to walk into oncoming gunfire, but the beaches at Utah were not quite as steep, and there weren't as many cliffs, and it wasn't quite as heavily defended as the beaches on Omaha. Of course, the famously bloody beaches of Omaha Beach, and there was the Germans had quite a few bunkers. And I remember walking on the beaches, and you could see kind of the idea of where the troops had to get off the beach and get up and kind of scale this, and just absolutely heroic. What they did. And you go and you walk, and you can walk the beaches now. And as an American, I remember being there and seeing, well, there's people sunbathing out on the beach. It was during the summer that I was there, and people are having fun, and you're kind of thinking, well, wait a minute, this is really sacred ground. But then you realize, well, this is exactly what that was fought over, so that people have the freedom to go out and to bathe on the beach and take their families out and enjoy their life. And you walk through, and we walked through the German bunkers there, and you could see the timbers at the top of the bunker were scorched. I was like, oh, I wonder if that was from a flamethrower. Maybe it was. And we went to Point du Hoc there, and you could see where the Rangers had scaled up the side of the cliff there, and just massive craters all at the top of this bluff that looks out over the ocean. And those craters were from the fire from the ships, that the big old battleships out in the water there. Just these massive rounds of ammunition coming in and just blowing craters into the earth there that are still there today that you can walk down into. I actually have a picture of me and my friends standing at the bottom of one of these craters, waving up to the camera. But as we walk the beach, one of it seems significant then. Back then. Kids, back when you had to take a picture on an actual piece of film, I had a camera and I had a bunch of rolls of film, and one of the film cases I filled up with some sand from Omaha Beach. So I kind of took some sand, and I was like, well, dang it, I'm going to capture some water from the English Channel. So I scooped up some water and put that in a film case as well, canister as well. And I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm sure I've got it. I'm sure the water, of course, is evaporated by now. Can't imagine what I thought was going to happen with that, but it was significant at the time. And apparently I brought it on the planes because that was pre 9/11. So you could do that. But yeah, never forget that. And then we'll never forget walking through the American cemetery there at Omaha Beach. And if you've not been there, boy, one of probably the most sobering moments in my life, where just row upon row of it's cross or a Star of David, or there's some that are just to the unknown because they were never able to identify who that person actually was. And it really reminds you of the cost of what those folks did, what that generation did for us, and what they did for the world, and what they gave up and what they sacrificed, and to go and take tyranny and evil head on. And so for all that, and I can't imagine that there are many World War II veterans that are still alive today. We had a story of a gentleman who just threw out the first pitch at the Lincoln Potters game. He's 102 years old now. My grandpa, World War II, he made it to 100, passed away in 2021, right at the beginning of 2021 there. So I'm sure not many of them left with us, but we will definitely remember and honor their memory right now and everything that they did on this day 81 years ago, happening on this day. So thank you so much for your sacrifice, and for those that continue to serve in our military, for your sacrifice and for your service. Thank you so much for that. Hey, by the way, if today is your birthday, I don't know of any other way, Producer Shane, to transfer segue from that to anything else, but hey, if today is your birthday, happy stinking birthday to you. If today was my birthday, it's not, but if it was, it would be actually stinking. And Shane, I have to ask you, when you walked in the studio today, did you smell anything? Does it smell? Okay.
Nothing different than usual.
Oh, okay. So it's just that normal, just radio station smell. Okay. Here's what happened. I'm a little nervous about this. I was out on my walk this morning, and it's still dark outside. I've got a little headlamp that I wear, to kind of light my way, and I've got some reflective gear on and walking. And earlier this week, where I walk, there's some businesses, some shops, and one of them is a restaurant. So depending on, and there's outdoor seating, and people, it's a pizza place, and depending on what's happened the night before, if the garbage cans are out there, they might be full. Well, before I came up on it, I saw earlier this week that there was a skunk just making his way out and about there. And of course you see a skunk, and I'm like, of course I'm going to give him a wide berth. So I did, and decided, I think what was that, Wednesday? Yesterday I thought, well, I'm not going to walk down just in case little Mr. Skunk is around there. Not gonna tempt fate. Yeah. This morning, walking down this little particular alleyway here, and thought, oh, no, I don't see him. And as soon as I came around a corner, I heard this little skittering, and what did my eye see but the backside of a skunk with his tail raised up? And then that is when I felt a little bit of, I thought, mist land on my leg. I was wearing shorts and a long sleeve shirt, and so I said, "Oh no, oh no!" And so as I'm walking, I could smell something in the air, and so I'm like smelling the sleeve of my shirt, and I can smell there's a skunk type smell. But I'm outside, so I'm like, well, as I get out of the area, it kind of disappears, and I'm not really smelling anything anymore. And then as I kind of go in a loop, and so as I'm coming back in that area again, I smell it still lingering in the air. I'm like, well, okay, well, maybe it just went in the air. It didn't get on me. But when I got back home, we have this kind of outside room before you go into the actual house that we call our little indoor-outdoor room, like a mud room. And so I thought, you know what, just to be safe, so I took all of my clothes off. I was just down to my skivvies out there and said, well, just in case my clothes are whatever, compromised, let's say, I'm going to leave them out here and then walk in and I'll take a shower. So and when I get in the shower, I can smell it. I'm like, okay, this is definitely, I can smell it. So I'm scrubbing myself down as best I can, get ready, going out, and I go through that room to go out to the car to leave. And when I walked back out into that room, I say, oh, I definitely smell like those clothes were definitely compromised. So I'll have to shoot my wife a text here and just say, hey, by the way, don't bring those clothes in the house unless they're going straight into the washing machine. But I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I've got this all over me? Do I have to take a bath in tomato soup now, or tomato paste or something? Like, what's the way to get a skunk smell off? So I scrubbed myself down as best that I could, and I thought, well, if Shane's in this morning, I'm going to ask him if he smells it. Because, of course, on this day, not only today being here, but then for a good part of today, I'm going to be in an enclosed room with a bunch of people. Normally, I'm just working by myself from home, but no, on this day, we've got an event, and I'm going to be in another studio doing some hosting on some other things. So, like, of course, on the day where I'm around people, this is the day where I'm going to get sprayed by a skunk.
Yeah, it never fails that way.
Yeah. So I don't know, Shane. Me and nature right now, 6 ticks in a Ziploc bag. Producer Adam, where's that song? And now being sprayed by a skunk. It's been a very interesting week, not to say the less, with nature. But anyway, so I'm glad I'm not smelling out the building here after being sprayed by a skunk today. And hey, by the way, if today is your birthday, let's get back to that real quick. Happy birthday to you. You share your birthday with Paul Giamatti, American actor born on this day in 1967. So happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to you on your birthday. And hey, speaking of your day and your birthday today, and for all of us, we need to find out what our weather is looking like today. For that, we're going to turn it over to meteorologist Tim Root. Timmy, how are we looking out there today?
Forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today. Still no rain in the forecast, and the high temperature in the mid to upper 80s, close to 90 in spots. Mostly clear in the low 60s overnight, very light winds. Saturday and Sunday is going to be mostly sunny. It's going to be hot over the weekend. Figure about 88 to 94 degrees Saturday and Sunday with mostly sunny skies. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Thank you, Tim. 13 minutes past the top of the hour, 6:13 a.m. And by the way, Producer Shane, I started playing this song a little bit earlier, and you identified it. Real quick, we'll play it here again, see if we can get it to queue up here. Very iconic start to a song, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, really. Just that, I don't know what that instrument is that it starts it with. I think it's a synthesizer.
That's my guess as well.
Yeah, it's not like some sort of flute or something like that. But yeah, so on this day in 1983, a core from my memory and my childhood, Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton. And you were telling me a story that LeVar was going to be close to where, because the crux of the story is the most iconic, I think, Reading Rainbow episode I ever remember happened with you. Well, it kind of in your neighborhood, though. Tell me a little bit about that. When you were a kid, they were coming near you, right?
Yeah, so when I was in kindergarten, we went to visit a dairy near our house, and they had mentioned that Reading Rainbow had been there a few weeks before to record a dairy episode.
Oh, okay. I loved it when he went out and did all these types of things. Mr. Rogers did the same thing. The Crayon Factory or Sesame Street did that.
True.
Remember that? Oh, I loved watching
the
stuff
Crayon
like that.
Factory,
Yeah.
So they told us when it should air, and so we wrote it down the calendar, and I went to go watch Reading Rainbow on that day, and there wasn't a Derry episode. It was instead LeVar Burton on the set of Star Trek.
Yeah.
So it was the crossover episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And as a kindergartner, I didn't care about Star Trek at the time. I'm like, what is this? This is, where's my show?
Yeah.
It
I
wasn't-
want to watch something about cows, doggone it.
Exactly.
What is a space show?
It wasn't until I was in middle school and started watching Star Trek that I appreciated the episode looking back.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
rewatched it then.
Yeah.
I still have yet to find the Reading Rainbow Derry episode, though.
Oh, really? So I wonder if it got preempted. Maybe they never. Maybe
know.
they never showed it.
I
They
don't
said,
know. I've tried
"Well,
looking, but never have yet to find it.
LeVar, he was on Star Trek, Star Trek: The Next Generation. For those of you that don't know, Geordie LaForge, Mr. LaForge, he played on that. And yeah, when he did the episode where, and I think I was so fascinated by it because he took you on a behind the scenes look at Star Trek, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I don't think I was watching the show either at that time. But I was so fascinated by or maybe I was a little bit familiar with it. And it was like, oh my gosh, when those doors on the bridge open, they go, that's just some dude standing behind the flat there that pulls on a rope that opens the doors. And you're like, well, that kind of ruins it a little bit. But also that's kind of cool to know that all that comes together. I don't know if you've watched Star Trek: The Next Generation recently, or if you ever watched it. My wife and I tried to watch it again because I remember watching it growing up. And what was so advanced and technical back then, you look at it now and they're like, well, that's really clunky. Like, look at that what their version of what an iPad would be. Basically what we have now is a tablet. I'm like, oh, that's kind of clunky.
I thought the same thing. And it's like 2 inches thick. And
Yeah.
what have you. Now, an iPad is a fraction of an inch thick.
Yeah, right. And their touch screens were super, state of the art and seemed very futuristic. And now you look at that and you're like, well, yeah, but you can't drag and haptic response and all that stuff. You're like, yeah, okay, well, the future is ever marching on, and yet we're not in spaceships yet. I guess we'll get there eventually. But yeah, I loved that episode. So that's so funny that when you said that, it was the Star Trek episode. I'm like, that's the episode that I remember the most. That's the one that I'm like, oh, I wish they would play that one again. I absolutely loved it. Anyway, it is 17 minutes past the top of the hour, 6:17 a.m. Let's turn it over now, as we do, to the Fox Business Report.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Tesla shares plunged 14% yesterday following the public feud between its CEO Elon Musk and President Trump. That translated into a loss of more than $152 billion in stock market value. The Wall Street Journal says short sellers made $4 billion on the sell-off. Tesla shares are recovering ground this morning, up 4%. Delta Airlines says tariffs on imported airplanes and parts could force it to stop buying foreign-made planes. Reuters says Delta made the comments in a government filing in response to a recent investigation. The airline's fleet includes Airbus planes made in Canada, Germany, and France. Wall Street will be reacting today to the monthly employment report for May. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
18 minutes past the top of the hour, 6:18 a.m. Coming up in our next segment at the bottom of the hour, Sports Ball. That's right. The A's must have heard our plea or our encouragement or our thoughts or our prayers or something, because they finally pulled themselves out of that losing streak. We'll see how they did yesterday. Also, Giants versus the Padres, how that went. Sports Ball coming up. Stay tuned. We're going to head off now to JT in the morning, and I'll see you back here at the bottom of the hour.
Is the sound of thousands of standard choices.
On a need-to-know basis, because you need to know. The first thing today.
Not quite sure what the German translation for damn Yankees is. Yes, but on D-Day, it's appropriate, I think, to have a little throwback for Ted's D there and pulling that one. I don't think we used that this week on Ted's D anyway. So there you go. Format is acknowledged and paid fealty to our friends jcsgold.com, wonderful sponsors and supporters of what we do, and vice versa, family business that helps you buy and sell gold. Now, they weren't around in 1944, but they've been around a long time. 1961, it wasn't too far away from that. James Locke on the phone with us. I looked it up, James. An ounce of gold was $33.85 in 1944 on average. Anyway, I don't know exactly what it was on June 6th, but it's considerably more now, although its buying power, as you've told us, is still pretty much what it was back then.
Yeah, there's a really interesting stat that I saw a while ago, and I know I've shared it with you before, that the value of gold and the value of real estate have really gone hand in hand over the past century. You could buy the same type of house, median size house back in the early 1900s with the exact same amount of gold that you can today, because they've both gone up so much in value, but they really are parallel, which is really interesting. That just shows you the store of wealth that gold is, along with state, and both great hedges against the dollar. And gold is something you can take with you, you can hold in your pocket, you can store in your safe. You don't need electricity to trade it or to barter it. You are in control of that asset, which is really awesome.
And that's what a family does for you. This is what a family business is all about. You're not going to get that at a call center in some big corporation. Sure, eventually you're going to wind up with some gold in an account somewhere, but get with a family, the Luck family at jcsgold.com. How is gold doing this morning, Joel? Joel is on the line, James.
Gold is in the green slightly so far. It's at $3,357, just about 1/10% in the green. Silver, though, continuing to shine. It's at $36.16. That's up another 1.5%, 50 cents so far in the green. Silver really is breaking out, and it was a busy day yesterday with a lot of our clients that already have been buying silver, because they do that every week, every 2 weeks. They stack silver, but they were calling and coming in and very excited and wanting to keep on stacking.
Well, and if you anytime over the weekend go to jcsgold.com, you'll see all the neat ways you can stack silver with all different commemorative coins and things of that nature. James, well, thank you, sir. You have a great weekend, and thank you for keeping everyone stacking silver.
Absolutely, Joe. Thanks.
434-882-4217 is the phone number, and Joel was hanging on the line with us when we went to break. Thank you for your patience, Joel. So what's on your mind this morning?
Good morning, Joe. It always stirs me up when, you hear all this stuff going around the United States and the world, and yes, we have all these issues, but today's the day of remembering D-Day. Almost. Is it okay to?
What is it okay to what?
Oh, okay.
I was listening, and I was worried that the phone line dropped. I'm like, DHS has got them.
There are almost 14,000 lives that were lost, and 10,000 more, I think, mostly casualties, which is horrible. But what bothers me is that all the back when that took place 81 years ago, they didn't have decisions where they could just keep floundering on it. They had to make decisions because the world was at stake, and our world is at stake right now too. We have Iran with bomb grade nuclear. We have Russia. That's who knows what they're going to do with Putin. And then we have our own economic problems and trying to get jobs back in manufacturing, which is majorly important. But it just seems like all these people flounder put into position of where they're supposed to help the United States. And it's just we have all these I don't know, how should we say it, fractures, but it just doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people are either artificial or they're real. And I think when you're talking to Dr. Clark, I think people are looking for people that are actually going to do something, like President Trump and, of course, Elon Musk. And, it's upsetting there's a rift, but those people are doing things.
Well, and as I've said in the past, and you've heard me, I stole the expression from our friend Chris Horner, the great best-selling author, Power Grab, Red Hot Lies, etc. The paradigm is we must do something. Hey, I've got something. Well, then we must do that. And that's the danger when you say we need to do something. We need to make sure we're doing the right things. And I've talked to economists, and the things that they're doing. This is where I come to this strange middle ground that, I'm hearing a lot of people on both sides on the Rubenesque reconciliation. I get what's going on with it, that the things that are baked into it, the regulatory reforms, the decline in the authoritarian state, the big bureaucracy cutbacks, all will work to grow the economy eventually. But what the other part into this Rubenesque reconciliation is we need an accelerant. The fire inspectors, when they come to the scene of a house fire, they're looking for signs of an accelerant. So a lot of the spending stuff, the debt ceiling stuff, are accelerants to try to make sure that as the economy improves, it does it in time for the next year's midterms. And I know there are people who will very fairly say, that's not what the government's supposed to be worried about. But Trump realizes that if the Republicans lose the majority in the House and Senate next year, it's not going to make a whole hill of beans difference. So whatever they set as a course over the next 5 to 10 years budgetarily, economically, it can all be undone with the next congressional elections and certainly the next presidential election.
Joe, why is it taking so long to get the convention of states together? Because I know we've talked about that for almost 4 years.
Well, the biggest delay that came along was Donald Trump won in 2024, and a lot of folks said, well, now I don't need to worry about it. And that's wrong. We definitely need to worry about it. Conventionofstates.com is the website, and each state has to go through its legislative process. Last year, Virginia had bills there, but it's got to go through the state legislatures and get passed, and that's what takes time, is getting it on the docket in each one of these states. I'll give you an update after the news, Joel, but you have a great weekend, sir.
You too. Thank you.
434-882-4217.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com. Helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Would your car perform better with premium gas or regular? What do octane ratings mean? I'm Ron Ananian, the Car Doctor, your automotive prescription, right after this.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme. The solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
Today's modern vehicle, whether it's a car, SUV, or light truck, is designed with a specific fuel in mind. Read your owner's manual. What octane rating does the vehicle manufacturer call for? That's what you should use. But there are exceptions to the rule. Many high-end or luxury vehicles call for premium or higher octane fuel. And the reason for this is not just due to the octane rating. There are better fuel system cleaners in premium fuels. Gasoline companies know, too, that vehicles that run on premium won't perform as well with carbon deposits. So they pack more cleaning power into their premium fuels than their regular blend. If you rotate your fuel choices around, say, every third tank full, you may find better performance and miles per gallon because you are cleaning your engine and fuel system while you drive. Just don't tell your mechanic you're trying to replace them anytime soon. With your automotive prescription, I'm Ron Ananian, the Car Doctor. See you next time.
And good Friday morning to you. It is June 6th, and it is 30 minutes past the top of the hour, 6:30 a.m. And hey, good morning to you, Newcastle. Currently, it is 58 degrees where you're at right now, looking for a high today of 89 degrees. All right, there's the sports ball music. Let's get right into it. We are starting on the hardwood in the NBA. First game of the NBA Finals, Pacers versus the Thunder. Pacers brought the pace just barely, but man, they won that one. I don't know, what do you call it, a squeaker? I don't know. The Pacers won that one 111-110 over the Thunder. That is game one. Indiana leads that series 1-0. That's the finals there that are happening right now. Going over to the MLB, the dirt, the grass, the stadiums, the hot dogs, the noise, the Athletics, the A's. We can't call them the Sacramento A's. We can't call them the Oakland A's. We'll just call them the Athletics, I guess. But whatever we call them, let's call them a winner. The A's win 14-3 over the Twins. Woo! They pent all of that up and brought that aggression out in the score of 14, 2 digits to 3 over the Twins. Congrats to the A's on the W there. Boy, I bet you that felt good after that long losing streak. Let's keep it going, fellas. Giants versus the Padres yesterday. Giants playing at home. That was an afternoon game. They wrapped up that series. Here's what it sounded like from the ballpark.
3-2. Hit high into right center field. Merrill on the move. And he can't get it! Up and over the wall. The Giants take the lead.
He does it in two strike.
Dominic Smith, 2-run double there, put the Giants up in the lead, and the Giants would stay in the lead. Giants win that one 3-2 over the Padres. So I think they split that series 2 apiece. Giants are going to play versus the Braves. They're going to be hosting the Atlanta Braves today. That's going to be at 7:15 p.m. tonight. So my gosh, if you're on the East Coast, that's going to be a late game if you want to watch the Braves. But here we go. Giants versus the Braves tonight, 7:15 p.m. You can catch all of the action here on KAHI. Other scores around the MLB: Dodgers versus the Mets. Dodgers win that one 6-5. Rays versus the Rangers. Rays win that one 4-3. Royals versus the Cardinals. Royals on top there 7-5. Let's see. D-backs versus the Braves. Diamondbacks win that. Wow, that's a high-scoring game. 11-10. Diamondbacks win that one over the Braves. We'll be back with your KAHI weather right after this.
McCullough's is the Foothills department store, offering a diverse selection of products for the whole family, from clothing, shoes, accessories, to home goods and gifts. McCullough's focuses on quality and customer satisfaction for locals and visitors alike. Whether you're looking for everyday essentials or unique finds, McCullough's has something for everyone. So save time, save gas, save money by shopping McCullough's department store in the Auburn Town Center right off of Elm.
Friday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today. Still no rain in the forecast, and the high temperature in the mid-to-upper 80s, close to 90 in spots. Mostly clear in the low 60s overnight, very light winds. Saturday and Sunday is going to be mostly sunny. It's going to be hot over the weekend. Figure about 88 to 94 degrees Saturday and Sunday with mostly sunny skies. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
33 minutes past the top of the hour, 6:33 a.m. Coming up in our next segment, we'll have your California Ag Report, more events for the calendar, also your KAHI news. Next hour, your daily dad jokes. You can start sending me yours now, live at KAHI.com, LIVE at KAHI.com, or call me 530-885-3565. And Mary Jane Pop's going to call in at the 8 o'clock hour, as she does on Fridays. Always fun to talk to Mary Jane. Looking forward to that conversation. Gang, there's a lot coming up. Stay tuned. We're going to head back to JT in the morning. I'll see you back here in just a little bit.
Amaze your friends. Hear it first thing today by Joe Thomas.
Hand in hand, never thinking that it could end. Making our love with the moon above at the drive-in picture show.
I don't mean to steam up your windows.
Burgers and fries and cherry pies in a world we used to know.
No Coke Pepsi. Pepsi. 434-882-4217 as we celebrate Charlie Pride Month all month this month here. Joel asked the question. Luis Valdez of the Gun Owners of America going to join us, especially for you in St. Augustine and Daytona and the Treasure Coast. Lou's down in Florida with you. He and I were talking a little bit. Pam Bondi and red flags may come up. Just warning you there. But Joel asked about the Convention of States, and they're going to be with me at Freedom Fest next week. So stay tuned for that. And one of the reasons it takes a while is the demagoguery that we've seen in a lot of things. First metastasized around the idea of the Convention of States. Convention of States, the Article 5 convention campaign began around Obamacare and around that period, and it was about restricting the government's ability to do all of these things if they didn't have the money for it, and restricting their access to it. So this particular Convention of States call, and if you read Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution, it says you can call a Convention of States for anything. Before the Civil War, there were several attempts at calling a Convention of States to do what Congress showed no intestinal fortitude to do, which is deal with slavery. Here we're talking about a balanced budget amendment that would cap spending increases to GDP. And each state has to ratify the call. So the call is in, I think we've passed 19 states. We need to get to 34. And there's only a few voices speaking out for it. In talk radio, Mark Levin and I are rare. Very, very few people pick up the call for it. And some of it is that that anti-liberal. So the acknowledgement that this is a constitutional proviso means anyone can have a say. So if you need New York and California and Illinois involved, and will their delegates probably be liberal? Yeah. But the idea of the Convention of States is exactly the same amending process the U.S. Senate has. Once the Convention of States is called, you still have triggers to how many votes you need to pass the amendment, and then it still has to go to the states the way any other constitutional amendment has to go to the states. So there's a lot of process involved, but part of the slowdown has been because a lot of people have been told a lot of things, especially in the world of, oh, well, you don't want to do that because liberals might be involved. And yeah, they're gonna. I'm sorry. The New York delegation, the New Jersey delegation, probably going to lean further left than I would if I was there. The Virginia delegation, probably not going to lean hard right. That's why, the call for convention, if you go to conventionofstates.com, you can see it there. It's based in it, to my standpoint on it, it's the only way to resuscitate the Constitution that's written in the Constitution. Everyone talks about, we need to get back to the Constitution. This is in the Constitution, Article 5. George Mason proposed it when he realized, hold it, we're counting on a bunch of men who, if they are allowed to continue to grow authority, will at some point not want to give that up. So we needed ways to the several states, as they were called. Luis Valdez, Gun Owners of America, on with us this Friday morning. Luis, thank you, sir, for taking time out. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastically well, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure for being on the show.
Well, you've got the greatest region in the country, I think, to be a regional director for Gun Owners of America. I have to say, I mean, if there was I wouldn't want to be the Gun Owners of America regional director for, say, the New York metropolitan area.
Well, a lot of people would think that, but the fight is across the country on the local, county, state, and federal level, and the Southeast definitely has its own fair share of issues. Look, Florida, for example, is in the Southeast, and it proclaims itself to be the freest state in the union, yet Florida is the only Republican state in the country that has an open carry ban, an under 21 purchase ban, red flag laws, mandatory waiting periods, and a bump stock ban that is so frivolously written, it also bans binary triggers and force reset triggers. And this is done all under Republicans. So, trust me, the fight is not over.
When President Trump won his election last year and started to announce his cabinet, my phones burned up when he chose Pam Bondi for Attorney General. I know that my friends on the left like to throw, and my listeners had a very good suggestion that we should lean into this Barbie stuff that they throw around regarding Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi. But we have used the phrase on occasion, red flag Barbie. But back in the post-Parkland era, Attorney General Bondi in Florida, along with Governor Rick Scott, were the ones who shepherded in a lot of those legislations, right, Rich? Right, Lewis?
Exactly. Yeah, Pam Bondi, as the Florida Attorney General, had a hand in drafting one of the largest gun control bills ever passed in Florida history. And at the time, I was still a fully sworn law enforcement officer working in the state of Florida, for the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I publicly spoke against that legislation. That kind of blackballed me career-wise.
Sorry about that.
It is what it is. Hey, I'd rather be doing what I'm doing right now anyways, which is fighting for the Second Amendment. When I raised my right hand as a cop to uphold the Constitution, I still take that oath seriously to this day, and that's why I proudly work for GOA. But, yeah, Pam Bondi had a hand to play in it, so did Rick Scott. And when she was selected for AG, organizationally, GOA, we were not happy with that. We were very much opposed to her pick for Attorney General because we know her history. We know where she's been on the Second Amendment as the Florida Attorney General. Not only did she have a hand in red flag laws and the bump stock ban and the other 21 purchase ban, she has defended Florida's open carry ban. She has defended Florida's under 21 carry ban. So, yeah, she does not have a clean record, but that is what separates GOA from everyone else on the field, is that we don't carry a political party or a politician's water.
Yeah.
We are a Second Amendment civil rights organization, and we don't care who you are. If you're anti-gun, we will go after you.
And Lewis, hang on, we're coming up on a break here, but as I said at the time as we were discussing it, this was a Florida that was, like Virginia is now. Everyone says, well, it's a blue state, and there's a lot of people in Virginia that point to Governor Youngkin's election and say, well, no, maybe you were purple, maybe we're more reddish purple than people would like, but there are points where Republicans can win representation. They're going to try to win a Senate seat in the midterms and that kind of thing. But at the time Parkland happened, we were still pretty close to the hanging chads world of Florida. So, but I get you. I mean, I look at some of the red flag laws here in Virginia. They were trying to have warrantless searches of people's houses simply because you had purchased a particular consumer product. All problematic to me. First Thing Today by Joe Thomas, GOA.org, Gun Owners of America, visiting with us this Friday morning. Yeah, if you want to talk about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, we can do that too. My comments about WrestleMania, all of it.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA1 today.
And good Friday morning to you. It is June 6th, and it is 15 minutes to the top of the hour, 6:45 a.m. And hey, good morning to you, Rockland. Currently 59 degrees where you are at right now, looking for a high today of 91 degrees. All right, let's talk about another event for the calendar. Yeah, this one's coming up here. It's the Forget Me Not Dinner, the 4th annual Forget Me Not Dinner. Every seed of generosity blooms into a better tomorrow. This is brought to you by the Forgotten Soldier Program. Join with them in supporting the transformation of veterans and first responders suffering from traumatic experiences. It's going to be on Saturday, June 21st. Check-in's going to be at 5:30. The dinner begins at 6 o'clock and goes all the way till 9 o'clock. Now, this is going to be in the lovely, wonderful Armed Forces Pavilion and Community Garden here in Auburn at 995 Lincoln Way. If you've not been there, do yourself a favor. Walk through it sometime. Look at the community garden there. There's a labyrinth in the back where you can walk around and just have some time reflecting. It's very peaceful. It's very lovely. It's very nice. And my gosh, a great place to have a dinner outside. That, again, is happening on Saturday, June 21st from 6 to 9 p.m. Check-in is at 5:30 p.m. The Forgotten Soldier Program is a 501c3 nonprofit, and if you want to call and sponsor the event, you can call them 530-889-2300. I'm sure they would love to have your sponsorship opportunity happen there. It's the Forget Me Not Dinner, the 4th annual one, happening on Saturday, June 21st. Music by Control-Alt-Delete, a catered dinner, raffle, and silent auction. Lots of opportunity to give back and support this program. Tickets are at ForgottenSoldierProgram.com. They're going to be $75 in advance and $85 at the door. Again, you can get your tickets at ForgottenSoldierProgram.com. We'll be back with your KAHI News right after this.
Hi, I'm Martha Barnett.
And I'm Grant Barrett.
We're hosts of A Way with Words, a weekly show about language.
We take your calls from anywhere in the country.
And from outside the country, too.
About anything and everything related to communication.
It's a show about speaking and writing and why we say the things we do.
It's also a show about history, family, and culture.
Satisfy your linguistic curiosity Saturdays and Sundays at 7 p.m. on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950, KAHI.
And here's your KAHI News for Friday, June 6th. I'm Chris Quant. County approves 2 shelter operating contracts with the Gathering Inn to support unsheltered residents. This is a Placer County press release. The Placer County Board of Supervisors has approved 2 agreements with the Gathering Inn to continue operating temporary shelter services for the county's unsheltered residents. The contracts, totaling more than $7 million, will ensure the continued operation of both a congregate shelter and a mobile temporary shelter, along with critical supportive services. The agreements incorporate board-directed revisions to enhance residency requirements to ensure Placer County residents are provided shelter services. Clients must prove they have been a resident of Placer County for at least 1 year by showing either a state ID or having a member of the homeless liaison team vouch for their residency. The agreements also restrict the length of stay per resident to 180 days. Each contract also includes an annual performance goal of at least 30% of the shelter's residents transitioning into alternative housing. Quote, homelessness is a deeply human issue. We must offer help, but we must also have clear goals and expectations, unquote, said Board Chair and District 1 Supervisor Bonnie Gore. Quote, these contracts are an important part of that, and I'm proud of the direction we're heading, unquote. Management of the contracts will transition to the Health and Human Services Department, which works closely with the Homeless Liaison Team made up of representatives from HHS, the Sheriff's Office, and the Probation Department. In response to rising operational costs, the agreements reflect an 11% increase over the 2-year contract period. However, the county has identified and offset $1.25 million in costs by using opioid settlement funds to support key staffing roles focused on substance use and mental health services. Quote, "We are pleased to see the continued success of the Gathering Inn as our unsheltered residents progress towards employment and permanent housing," unquote, said District 5 Supervisor Cindy Gustafson. Quote, "The journey out of homelessness is quite difficult, and it truly takes a village to make a difference. I am proud of how Placer County is managing its homeless programs," unquote. The Gathering Inn has provided shelter and support services for Placer County's unhoused population for over 2 decades. Their comprehensive approach has helped hundreds of individuals transition from homelessness towards stable housing and self-sufficiency. Back with more news after this.
The voice of the foothills is now the voice of the San Francisco Giants.
Now Wilmer Flores. 10th time in his career that he's had multiple home runs in the same game. High fly ball to left. Hit deep. And out of here. He's done it again. What a night for Wilmer Flores. He's knocked in all of the Giants' runs.
Catch every Giants game right here on KAHI AM and FM, brought to you in part by the Lincoln Potters baseball team.
It's 4 words no parent should ever hear. Your child is sick. It's 4 words that change everything. Those 4 words can define a family. It's 4 words that are filled with pain, heartache, and grief. And with those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to 3 million kids at more than 700 hospitals across the country to deliver happiness when it matters most. Learn more at starlight.org.
Hi, this is Dr. Dahlia, and I'm thrilled to announce that I've joined the KAHI radio team. Each weekday morning from 9 to noon, I'm live on KAHI. We tackle issues like cholesterol, diabetes, women's health, children, geriatrics, relationships, and more. And with all that's going on in Washington, we even touch on government and policies impacting your health. The Dr. Dahlia Show is also a live call-in medical talk show that answers your questions on the air. Join me, Dr. Dahlia, Monday through Friday from 9 to noon here on FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
Continuing now with your KAHI News from the Morning Brew, Trump and Xi had a, quote, very good phone call, unquote. President Trump said he spoke to Chinese President Xi Jinping the first time since Trump's inauguration in January for about 90 minutes yesterday and agreed to meet in the near future for trade talks. According to Trump, the two addressed the issue of rare earth metals, which China stopped exporting in April in response to Trump's tariffs, though Beijing's readout of the phone call did not mention rare earths. Trump said the call focused on trade and did not delve into matters concerning Iran, Ukraine, or Russia. A day before the call, Trump posted on social media that he liked Xi, but that the Chinese leader was, quote, extremely hard to make a deal with, unquote. Procter & Gamble is cutting 15% of its non-manufacturing workforce. The company that makes half the products at your local CVS or Walgreens announced it's eliminating 7,000 roles as part of a restructuring. P&G said the cuts aren't a cost-cutting measure, though earlier this year the company admitted it was considering cutting costs after it reported a decline in sales and lowered its annual outlook due to consumer uncertainty. As part of the restructuring, P&G reportedly plans to exit some product categories. And from the Morning Brew, here's what else is brewing. The European Central Bank cut interest rates for the 8th time in the last year as the Eurozone attempts to recover from the fallout of the U.S.'s trade war. Kleenex parent company Kimberly-Clark is spinning off the tissue brand outside the U.S. in a $3 billion deal with a Brazilian manufacturer. NBA team sponsorship revenue increased 8% this season to $1.62 billion thanks to the growing use of jersey patches. Hooters abruptly closed more than 30 locations, calling it a, quote, difficult decision, unquote, 3 months after filing for bankruptcy. And the TSA is researching haptic technology that would allow security agents to pat down passengers in virtual reality without physically touching them, 404 Media reported. And finally, also from the Morning Brew, today's word of the day is dissuaded, meaning persuaded someone not to do something. Dissuaded. And that's your KAHI News for this Friday, June 6th. I'm Chris Quant. On now to the California Ag Report.
It is time for California Ag Today. On the Ag Information Network, I am Haley Ship. A major tax shift could be coming, and California's farm and ranch families are watching closely. According to the American Farm Bureau, several provisions from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act are set to expire at the end of the year. That includes tax breaks that helped small and mid-sized ag operations keep more of what they earned. While corporate tax cuts were made permanent, many individuals and business deductions were not. Without congressional action, the Farm Bureau estimates that farmers and ranchers could pay an extra $9 billion annually in federal taxes. That's roughly $5,000 more per farm. That is on top of California's already steep production costs, regulatory pressures, and ongoing climate challenges. For many growers, especially those with thin margins, these changes could force hard decisions about labor, upgrades, and investment. Larger operations are also at risk, especially those relying on capital expensing tools and facing complex estate planning. Beyond the farm, the concern is ripple effects. Fewer dollars on the ground could mean fewer jobs, lower local spending, and added strain on rural economies statewide. The Farm Bureau says tax policy doesn't have to be another wild card, but right now it is.
Enhance tree fruit quality and your marketable yield with the best protection under the sun. Easy to tank mix, foliar applied Parka from Cultiva is proven to improve tree fruit cuticle health before sun, rain, insects, and other natural stressors cost you yield loss. Make the most of your season with easy, efficient, season-long protection. Put Parka on it. Ask your retailer or Cultiva representative about Parka today. Visit Cultiva.com for more information.
Today, we're talking with aphids and whiteflies about Safina insecticide from BASF.
We just got nailed with it.
So tell us, how you feeling?
Really, really weird.
And you still want to devour this field?
No way, bro.
There you have it, folks. Safina insecticide is specifically engineered to disorient aphids and whiteflies so they can't eat. And when they can't eat, they can't destroy.
Help protect your alfalfa from aphids with Safina insecticide. Always read and follow label directions.
On the Ag Information Network, I am Haley Ship.
Don't miss our Made in the USA sale.
Naturewood Home Furnishings has always carried Sacramento's largest selection of American-made furniture, and it's all on sale now. The absolute best living rooms, bedrooms, dining rooms, mattresses, home office, and more.
Save in every department.
And we're proud to offer so many choices during this special sale. Naturewood, you know, the building with the water wheel.
Tell them Brooklyn Nova and Orion sent you.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
The American Cancer Society Discovery Shop needs your donations of new and gently used merchandise. Items include clothing, jewelry, bric-a-brac, home decor, and more. Donations are tax deductible and support cancer patients locally and nationwide. They also need volunteers daily. The Discovery Shop is located at 2376 Grass Valley Highway in Auburn. For more information, call 530-888-7434.
Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat and Air. ABT has been in business since 2001, and we are thrilled to have been voted Auburn's best plumbing company and best heating and cooling company in Auburn Journal's Best of Auburn promotion. We're very proud to have placed as runner-up in electrical category as well. Our technicians are experienced and friendly. If you have an issue with your plumbing, need a whole house generator, or maybe your furnace isn't working, give ABT a call. Reach us at 530-230-9004 for excellent service. It really is as easy as ABT.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you to listen to Chris in the Morning, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Get all the local news, weather, traffic, interviews, and local event reminders you can handle, plus a healthy dose of daily dad jokes. Chris in the Morning, 6 to 9 a.m. here on FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI, the voice of the foothills. I never miss it, and neither should you. My goodness, it's early.
Nice. 20 seconds to the top of the hour. It is 6:59 a.m. Pausing now for station identification. On to hour 2 after this.
FM 104.5, K2A3CM, Auburn, and AM 950, KAHI, Auburn.
Wake up, it's Chris in the morning light. On KAHI, a day starts right. Foothill news and a smile or two, with a dad joke fresh and the weather too. He's the voice of the hills, keeping it real. Local talk with hometown feel. So grab your coffee, don't hit snooze. It's Chris in the morning with your daily news.
Oh, here come the background dancers. 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And good morning to you. It is Friday, June 6th, and it is right smack dab at the top of the hour. It is 7 a.m. here at FM 104.5, AM 950 KAHI. You know what it is. It is the voice of the foothills, Chris Quant, with you here, holding it down. Beautiful, gorgeous, air-conditioned Studio A, KAHI Studios, downtown Auburn. Looking forward to another fantastic day today. Now, if you just heard the date and said, June 6th, that seems like that stands out. I should know something about that. Well, you absolutely should. Now, this is what my history teacher... Shane, producer Shane, you have history class as a kid?
I did.
Okay. My high school history teacher, he did things, they were called star dates. So it was high school, but he structured his class more of like a college class. We didn't know what a college class was because obviously we were in high school. We hadn't been to college yet, but it was exclusively lecture. Okay. It was all lecture, which I think with history, that's kind of how you have to do it. It's basically history is one long story.
Yeah.
And he was a great storyteller. It was my favorite class in high school. I took history in college expecting that it would be the same thing, and turns out the teacher really does make a difference. My history teacher in college was not like my history teacher in high school. I had a really great high school history teacher, but he was the only teacher that had a chalkboard. His chalkboard, all the other classrooms had whiteboards, but he had a chalkboard. Okay. Old school, old-fashioned, writing with chalk, had the erasers that would, erase, and he'd give it a good erasing at the end of every week because, chalk builds up on there. But he made a point to tell us that he would never clap out his erasers. He would never take them and bang them together and get all the chalk dust off of them. And there was a reason for that. And the reason for that was, now I went to a smaller school, so I had him in both. I had him several times. I had him in junior high and I had him in high school. And I had him my senior year. I think I had him my junior year. And then I think I had him my 8th grade year as well. And he said, the reason that I never clap out my chalkboard or my erasers is that if you fall asleep in my class, I'm going to throw one of my erasers at you. I don't know if that you could get away with that today. This was the 90s, kids. So maybe it was a little bit different back there. And it was always legend. It was always lore. Until about halfway through my senior year, one of the guys in the back, and who ended up being one of our co-valedictorians, by the way, fell asleep in the back row. Oh, no. In the back row, and his name was Mr. Pratt. I don't know if I should be calling him out right now, but anyway, he basically noticed this, stopped his lecture, got an eraser, and from the front of the classroom, this beautiful arc all the way, and got him right on the side of the face. The eraser hit him, this big old chalk print right on the side of the face, and he kind of woke up. He had his head down on his desk, woke up, and we all went just slack-jawed. Everybody in the class went, not only did he make good on what he said he was going to do, but he did not miss. He hit him right on the face. And it wasn't a hard toss. He just lobbed it. So it wasn't anything like it was going to have anything injury, but it was enough to where we all went, oh, this guy's for real. Oh my gosh. But all that to say, Mr. Pratt, when he was lecturing, he would put notes up on the chalkboard and points that you would want to remember. But if he ever put a star by a date on the chalkboard there, you knew, guaranteed that date was going to be on the test. So it was a star date. So if you ever saw a star date up on this board, you better write that down and what was significant about that date, because it was going to be on the test. So today is one of those star dates. I remember Mr. Pratt writing this date on the board and putting a star by it. June 6th, 1944, 81 years ago today. The invasion of the beaches in Normandy, the great Allied invasion that started our campaign towards ending World War II in Germany there and ultimately in Japan. And from the Morning Brew, of course, we all know General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces. Now, he gave a speech that day and wrote down a note of what he, admonished the soldiers to do, soldiers, sailors, airmen, and all of those things. But Eisenhower, he also wrote an alternate speech in case the invasion wasn't successful. If it was unsuccessful, he wrote down what would later become one of the world's most coveted pieces of scrap paper. He wrote, "My decision to attack at this time and place was based upon the best information available. The troops, the air, and the Navy did all the bravery and devotion to duty that they could. If any blame or fault attaches to the attempt, it is mine alone. The original draft includes the phrase, 'this particular operation,' but that was crossed out and replaced with 'my decision to attack.'" So really interesting information from history. He went ahead and folded that and put it in his wallet and kept it there, and thank God he never had to actually pull it out and use it. But really interesting, and to me, that's just the sign of a true leader, somebody who truly is saying that, I get that there was a lot of consultation. There was a lot of groups that went into deciding that this was the time and the place to go. But ultimately, I am the one. I am the one that is taking responsibility for this. This is on my shoulders. And if there's anyone to blame, now he could have said, well, no, it was General Bradley or one of the British generals. But he said, no, it is squarely on my shoulders. And this is the one that I'm going to take and I'm going to bear the brunt of. So quite the leader, that Dwight D. Eisenhower, and really shows to me, if you're looking for what true leadership looks like, that is what true leadership looks like. A leader who says, you know what, I get it. I understand that the buck stops with me. This has been my decision. I made to do that. Yeah, I had a lot of groups that consulted. I brought in all of the experts. But at the end of the day, I'm the one whose decision my shoulders rest with this decision here, and I'm going to make the call to either go or stop. And so, true example of great leadership there. Thank you, Dwight D. Eisenhower, for reminding us of what that looks like. And thanks also to there's not many folks around from that generation still. I think about my grandfather, who passed away at the end of 2020 there, right at the beginning of 2021, just made it to 100 years old. And he, fought over in the Pacific Theater. And my other grandfather, my dad's dad, was part of the Army Air Corps in England, the 8th Air Force, and was in that side and was an intelligence officer. And kind of understanding why my grandfathers never really talked about it and never really spoke about the war. I get it, and you kind of study it and you hear about all the things that are happening. And one of the main reasons that I still own a DVD player is, one, to play my Lord of the Rings extended director's cut versions set, and also I have the set of Band of Brothers that Spielberg and Tom Hanks produced back in the early 2000s that documents E Company of the 101st Airborne Division and everything that they went to, and ended up, I actually found the book by Stephen Ambrose, one of my favorite historian authors, before they ever made that series. I remember going into the Borders bookstore in Roseville there on Douglas. It isn't there anymore. It's a Sprouts Market now, I think, but would go into that Borders. And I always found myself, again, because I had such a great history teacher and a love of history, I would always go to the history section, and I would usually World War II was the one that I went to first, or Civil War. But I found Stephen Ambrose was one of my favorite authors, and he wrote Band of Brothers. And I remember grabbing that book off of the bookshelf and just reading it. And I would start, and I read a couple of chapters, and then I had to go do something else. And then the next time I was at Borders, I would come back and I'd like read another chapter. And I remember there sitting on the floor in the aisle there at Borders Books in the history section, reading this book and thinking, what is wrong with me? Why am I just sitting here reading this? Like, why don't I just buy the book, take it home, and just read the darn thing? And so that was the first book by Stephen Ambrose that I bought, read it cover to cover, and just his way that he documents it, the way that he writes. And then he wrote D-Day, a more comprehensive version of all the events that happened on D-Day, and other books on the Civil War and Lewis and Clark's journey across. Just a fantastic writer. If you've never read Ambrose and you're interested in history, want to learn more about history, boy, what an author he was that brought us all of these. I actually think he wrote Eisenhower's biography as well. He did a lot of books there around history. So great author. That's my recommendation for you if you're looking for a historical recommendation. But hey, let's get on to today. If today is your birthday, by the way, happy stinking birthday to you. I hope you have a fantastic day today. If you missed it last hour, I was saying that if today was my birthday, it's not, but if it was, it would be extra stinking. And here's why. Out on my walk this morning, I try and get out and walk at least for a few minutes before I get my day started, just to kind of get the brain working, get the blood moving, get some exercise. We need to move our bodies as much as we can throughout the day. And as I was walking on my normal route today, now earlier in the week, on my normal route, fortunately, I'd seen him ahead of time. There was a skunk, and he was kind of rooting around in front of, I walked past a few businesses, and one of them is a pizza place, and you could tell he was kind of looking for scraps. So, of course, I gave him a wide berth and said, yep, no, Mr. Skunk, you stay there. I'm going to stay over here. It's going to be just fine. Well, the other day, I thought, you know what, I'm going to avoid that. I'm going to give him, again, a wide berth. I don't see him, but yeah, I'm just going to be on the safe side. Today, I didn't see him again, so I thought, well, what are the odds? I'm going to walk down there. Well, coming around a corner, I heard a little skittering off to the side, and when I turned my head to look, what do I see but the backside of a skunk with his tail raised up, and I felt a little bit of mist. I was probably, I don't know, maybe I'd say less than 5 feet away from him, and I thought, oh no. And so I was wearing shorts and a long sleeve shirt. I felt a little something on my leg, and I thought, well, maybe it didn't really get on me, but as I walked away, I was trying to smell the sleeve on my shirt. And I thought, oh no, that's not smelling too good. But then I was outside, so I thought, well, I don't smell it very much anymore. Either my nose is getting used to it, or it wasn't that bad. And being outside, you can't really tell. But when I got home, we have a little indoor-outdoor kind of mudroom type thing, and I took I stripped down to my skivvies just in case my clothes were compromised and I couldn't quite smell it because I'd either gotten used to it or it wasn't a big deal. But either way, I took them off, left them outside there, and then went into the house, went in, took a shower, scrubbed myself down pretty darn good. When I got in the shower, I could actually smell. I'm like, okay, I'm in an enclosed space now. It does smell like skunks. So I thought, well, maybe it's not too bad. Took the shower, got ready, walked back outside of the house there into that room, and that's where I go to then get out to go to the car. And oh boy, nope, those clothes were definitely compromised. So, yep, first time getting sprayed by a skunk. Yep, that's me. That happened. That was a thing. So I don't know, between ticks crawling across my face over the weekend and now being sprayed by a skunk, Mother Nature and I have had quite the eventful week this week. Oh boy, probably rather have it less exciting, but it is what it is. And I asked producer Shane this morning when I came in, I said, hey, because I'm super self-conscious about it now, because of course on the day where I work at home and I work by myself, and I'm in my office alone. But today, of course, I'm going to be around some coworkers and around producer Shay this morning. I said, do you smell anything outside of the normal right now? And he kind of gave me this weird look of like, what are you talking about? I said, well, here's the deal. And then I told the story about being sprayed by a skunk this morning, and he said, no, it sounds okay. It smells okay to me. I was like, okay, all right. I just want to make sure, because I'm super self-conscious about it. But other than just the normal smells, I think I scrubbed most of it off, although I was kind of afraid I was going to have to, what is it? You take a bath in tomato soup or something like that. I'm like, I don't have that much Campbell's soup around me, so we'll have to figure out what to do. But seems like I scrubbed most of it off. So catastrophe averted so far. We'll find out as the day progresses. But speaking of our day, we need to find out what the day is looking like from a weather perspective. For that, we're going to turn it over now to meteorologist Tim Root. Timmy, how are we looking out there today?
Friday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today. Still no rain in the forecast, and the high temperature in the mid to upper 80s, close to 90 in spots. Mostly clear in the low 60s overnight, very light winds. Saturday and Sunday is going to be mostly sunny. It's going to be hot over the weekend. Figure about 88 to 94 degrees Saturday and Sunday with mostly sunny skies. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Thank you, Tim. 14 minutes past the top of the hour, 7:14 a.m. All right, let's turn it over now, as we do, to the Fox Business Report.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Job growth was stronger than expected last month. There were 139,000 new jobs created in May. Economists were predicting 130,000. The unemployment rate held at 4.2%. As expected, employment increased in May in healthcare, leisure and hospitality, and social assistance. The federal government continued to lose jobs. Tesla shares recovering some ground, up more than 4% after falling 14% yesterday on the public feud between CEO Elon Musk and President Trump. Lululemon says tariffs are impacting its business. It's lowering its forecast for the year. The company says it will be very intentional in its decisions on whether to raise prices. Lululemon shares are down 20%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com.
Check out the Garden Goddesses here on the Voice of the Foothills Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Erlene Freeman and Cindy Davis will bring you up to speed on all the latest news and help your garden grow.
Row by row, someone
It's the Garden Goddesses, Saturdays at 8 a.m. here on 104.5 FM and AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. 16 minutes past the top of the hour, 7:16 a.m. Hey, speaking of Saturday, we've got a car show coming up in downtown Grass Valley. That's right, 38th annual car show. Get your hot rod on. If it's cool, it counts. Saturday, June 7th, downtown Grass Valley, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Awards will happen at 2 p.m. So yeah, if your car is out there, might get an award. This is going to be in downtown Grass Valley. You can register online at downtowngrassvalley.com. Might still be time to get your car in there, although we're getting right up to it here. It's going to be limited to 250 cars. So if you're just going just to look at cars and you like looking at cars, my gosh, you might have up to 250 to look at. Again, it is the 38th annual car show happening in downtown Grass Valley. This is brought to you by the Grass Valley Downtown Association, happening tomorrow, June 7th, and did I mention it? Yeah, downtown Grass Valley, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you want to stick around and see what cars get an award, you can. That's going to happen at 2 p.m. Check it out, downtown Grass Valley, tomorrow, Saturday, June 7th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Back with more right after this.
The Lincoln Potters are back in action at historic McBean Park in Lincoln. Bring the whole family out and enjoy some top-notch collegiate summer league action. The Potters will play 33 home games through the end of July with special theme nights throughout the season. Tickets start at only $8 and can be purchased at LincolnPotters.com.
Make it out to the Potters game at McBean Stadium for fireworks night on Saturday, June 14th, and of course on Friday, July 4th. And Potter up!
Not able to tune into AM 950 KI whenever you want? That's not fair. Have a strict boss that only listens to music and never local news? He's not very informed then, but you knew that. Don't worry, you can get KHI's up-to-the-minute news information and local advice from our talented KHI news team anywhere you want now. Follow KHI on Twitter or like KHI on Facebook to receive local news updates multiple times a day. You can also download our KHI radio app at KHI.com and enjoy the voice of the foothills at AM 950 KHI at any time, day or night.
19 minutes past the top of the hour, 7:19 a.m. Coming up in our next segment, Sports Ball. No, it's not Sports Ball. Hang on, it's Dad Jokes. We're in the 7 o'clock hour. It's time for your daily Dad Jokes. Yeah, you can send me yours live at KHI.com or call me 530-885-3565. Dad Jokes coming up. Stay tuned. Off now to JT in the morning.
For me to ever get you off of my mind.
Celebrating Charlie Pride Month.
It's gonna take a little bit longer, 'cause I've been loving you a long, long time.
434-882-4217 is our phone number. We tell you the news. We'll even break down the news for you, but more importantly, we want to know how the news is impacting you on your street. You can also text message to that number. A lot of folks have been doing that. American Thinker, this one sent to me, let's avoid World War III on this D-Day. Let's avoid World War III. It's an interesting concept. I haven't had time to read the piece, but I've heard a lot of folks who point to Russia and Ukraine as the burgeoning beginnings of World War III. Commentary that likens it to World War I and how everyone got dragged into that, and Washington's warnings of international entanglements, Eisenhower's own warnings about the military-industrial complex that he saw developing under the idea of the premise, I guess is the better word, that thousands upon thousands of lives could have been saved if we were ready to go into battle sooner. That the time it took the American industry, once we established, passed, and enacted the War Powers Act so we could turn the car makers into tank makers, turn the fishing boat companies, like I mentioned, the Higgins boat, and I mean, I knew the boats. Obviously, you know of the boats. I did not know that the World War II museum was housed where all those Higgins boats were made. But it was a fishing boat company. It was to make boats to fish in the swamps and the bayous of New Orleans and the Gulf Coast, Florida, these flat-bottom boats. And was asked... company was asked, do you think you can make it so the front opens up and bigger engine in it? Scaled it up. So the military-industrial complex begins on the premise of how many thousands of lives we could have saved if we were ready, even after we politically became convinced we needed to go into battle. Aside from the ships that were still available to sail on the Japanese attack force, it took us a while to get geared up to mount the ground assault in Europe. So the industrial complex, the premise is, well, if we just keep one and have a permanent military manufacturing apparatus, that would be, good, and then we can go to war pretty quickly. and Eisenhower warned against it. Washington warned against our international entanglements that would drag us into wars that we had no say in, or just simply because an ally was involved. But a couple of quick notes, since lots of people are pointing at Putin and Zelensky and World War III on the horizon. Or is it Hamas and the terrorists, the Houthis, and the attacks on Western civilization in the form of Israel? The existence of Western civilization in the manifestation of Israel? But one of the things we should have learned, that 81 years ago we started to fight back against, is you don't get to invade another sovereign nation, a nation that you have agreed to recognize as a sovereign nation. And I know that Vladimir Putin likes to point to Crimea and the regions that had this massive Russian population in it, ethnically Russian. Then that premise should also work. President Sheinbaum of Mexico should just announce that they're invading Southwest United States, given how many people we've allowed across the border. And Biden, like Zelensky, letting all these folks across the border because we're friends, we're so ethnically connected, so historically connected. The open borders between Ukraine and Russia allowed for this backhand invasion. And then Putin says, but, and Obama acknowledges it by denying the Ukrainian citizens of Russian descent a voice in their own elections, claiming that that they were there to throw off the ethnic Ukrainians' right to home rule. So this goes back a long time before the first time Putin sent tanks to the border. But if you're going to use the premise that there are a lot of my countrymen that have emigrated to that country, is Cuba going to invade the United States and try to take Miami back? You don't get to invade someone else's country, regardless of what your premise is. So here comes one, and I'm going to read it. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to read it. Palestine was invaded 50 years ago. Will the U.S. mount a force to repel the Israeli invasion of Palestine? A couple of things, Kareem. Number one, there is no Palestine, but we can begin there. Let me start with the phones where, and I'm sure, Kareem, you can write a follow-up to that, but there is no country of Palestine. But as a matter of fact, there's a reasonable case that the Israelites are the Palestinians. But let me get to you at 434-882-4217. Good morning. Who's this?
Hi, this is Ray.
Good morning, Ray.
You're wrong about Palestine, but you only pick it up halfway through the story.
How do you mean?
Calling in. I'm not interested in talking about Palestine at the moment.
Okay.
I was interested in your worries about the beginning of World War III.
It wasn't mine. It was the American Thinker magazine.
The American Thinker you quoted, so you obviously find
acknowledge it, yeah.
Now, here's the point. If you'll notice, by isolationism, we had 2 world wars within 20 years, basically.
Mm-hmm.
World Wars I and II. We gave up isolationism, started getting involved, and by the grace of God and a lot of luck, but by paying attention to what's going on in other parts of the world, we have managed to avoid a world war ever since.
It's a fair statement. It's a fair statement. The argument could be.
Statement.
Well, it's
a true statement.
And
the other thing, Hitler could have been stopped at several places along the way. It is fairly stated by people who sort of apologize for him that he didn't want a war.
Hey guys, I'm Teddy Savage, National Lead Trainer for Planet Fitness, and the American Heart Association recommends that we all get at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity in a week's time. But here's the thing, that 150 minutes does not need to be super intense. As a matter of fact, it could just be you moving your body and doing what you already love to do, like exercise. And a stronger heart doesn't just mean cardio, right? It means also infusing your workout routines with strength training as well. So we are super excited to be launching our new plate-loaded strength series in all of our gyms. It's already fitted in 1,700 locations with the goal to have all 2,700 fitted by the end of 2025. So if you need more information, go to our website at planetfitness.com, or better yet, download our free Planet Fitness app. And with convenient locations all around the world and most of our gyms being open 24 hours, there's bound to be one close by you.
For decades, America's offshore oil industry has relied on Port Fourchon, Louisiana. But now, as wind energy continues to grow, many of these vessels, these companies, these people are building and servicing the offshore wind industry. Moving equipment, installing turbines, transporting crews, it's a huge opportunity, and we're proud to be a part of that.
U.S. offshore wind has already announced over $25 billion in infrastructure investments. Learn more at cleanpower.org. Sponsored by the American Clean Power Association.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month.
You can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE.
And good Friday morning to you. It is June 6th, and it is 30 minutes past the top of the hour, 7:30 a.m. And hey, good morning to you, Lake of the Pines. Currently, it is 65 degrees where you're at right now, looking for a high today of 87 degrees. All right, it is that time. It is time for your daily dad jokes. That's right, make you laugh, sigh, I don't know, roll your eyes. We'll see what we get here. Checking the inbox here, got one from Linda. Linda, thanks for sending this one in. I had a quiet game of tennis today. There was no racket. Linda, that's a strong way to start it off. I really like that one. I had a quiet game of tennis today. There was no racket. Well done, well done. I like that one. How about this one? Why do crabs never volunteer? Because they're shellfish. That's good. I love that. Stephanie sent this one in. In high school, I had a teacher who loved to give quizzes all the time. I think he was just testy. Okay, all right. I see what you did there. Thanks for sending that one in, Stephanie. How about this one? We'll wrap up with this. A giraffe and an ostrich had a 100-meter race. It was neck and neck right to the end. I love that. A giraffe and an ostrich had a 100-meter race. Apparently we're using the metric system in this one. It was neck and neck right to the end. There we go. And those are your daily dad jokes for this Friday, June 6th. As always, you can send me yours anytime live at KAHI.com or call me 530-885-3565. We'll be back with your KAHI weather right after this.
Hello, KAHI listeners. This is Ann Hidalgo, your host of A Time for Seniors. You might be used to hearing us at 6 a.m. on Saturdays, but we moved to 12 noon. A Time for Seniors is your local senior resource show bringing you all the important information concerning seniors. We talk health, financials, medical, keep you updated on current scams, hear inspirational stories, and laugh at ourselves a little. So tune in Saturdays at noon on FM 104.5 and AM 950, KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
Friday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today. Still no rain in the forecast, and the high temperature in the mid to upper 80s, close to 90 in spots. Mostly clear in the low 60s overnight, very light winds. Saturday and Sunday is going to be mostly sunny. It's going to be hot over the weekend. Figure about 88 to 94 degrees Saturday and Sunday with mostly sunny skies. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
33 minutes past the top of the hour, 7:33 a.m. Coming up in our next segments, we'll have more events for your calendar. Yep, lots going on here at the Auburn State Theater happening this weekend. I'll let you know about that. Also, we're going to have your mental health minute. Next hour, Mary Jane Pop is going to call in. That must mean that it's Friday. We're going to talk to Mary Jane. Always lovely talking to her. Find out all the ingredients that she's putting together for her show this weekend, Pop Talk in Search of the Truth. And we'll also talk about where you can find Pop Star Talk. What is that? If you haven't heard about it, we'll let Mary Jane give you all the details. Heading back now to JT in the morning, and I will see you back here in just a little bit.
For you, from Joe Thomas, it's First Thing Today.
It's time for our sports director, Mac McDonald, to open his notebook. Ray's on hold with us, and we'll get with him because I want to finish the conversation we were having on world affairs there. But Mac is scheduled for us, and so we're going to stick a pin in that and come back to it in a moment. Brother Mac, how are you doing this Friday morning, sir?
I'm doing good. You know, a lot circling around the desk, a lot of things that I think you're going to find fairly interesting, and that's what we do. So anyway, welcome in. Happy Friday. Excited about a Friday. I'm going to breathe a little this weekend, may even try to hit the little white ball. So Mississippi State last night, with everything going on, the Halliburton jumper, the Texas Tech game, of course, Mississippi State introduced its new baseball coach last night. Brian O'Connor left UVA for the position in Starkville, and he spent 22 years in the ACC in Charlottesville. He told the media last night that the timing for him, his family, his professional development, whatever, he said the timing to move to Mississippi State was just perfect.
You know, the timing was lined up from the standpoint of where I was at in my career and where my family was at. Yes, there's been a lot of schools over the years that have reached out about their jobs, but make no mistake about it, this was the right one for Brian O'Connor.
They have a gazillion-dollar baseball field. They get more fans in the world, and they got a 10-cent PA system for this. Just great PR. I really enjoy it. All right, O'Connor won a College World Series title in 2015 at Virginia. He credited the Bulldogs AD Zach Selman with the move, and that Brian's resume shows 18 NCAA trips, 9 super regionals, 7 Omaha appearances. Mm-hmm. Yes, he doubled his salary to the tune of $2.9 million, and while spending 4 minutes thanking UVA, O'Connor admitted it always comes down to finding the right fit.
I felt like if I was going to leave this place that I loved and worked at for 22 years, it had to be the right partnership, first and foremost. It had to be the place that you felt like you could be as successful as possible.
You know what? I wish at some point, and when I'm on my deathbed, Joe, and you come into the hospital and say, hey, guess what? There was a coach's press conference where the coach actually told the truth and really got down to the details of, all right, so the name surfaced now for the Brian replacement. A move like this is common in college. Kevin McMullen, Matt Kirby assistants, they moved to Starkville. Pitching coach Drew Dickinson is not going. He is in line for the Cavalier job. And if you look deeper into the story, Oak was not happy with his program staying at 20 scholarships. That was a big thing because with a house settlement deal, they had a chance to move to 34. I mentioned this earlier in the week. Now, Virginia AD, Carla Williams and company tried to save things, but too little, too late. They were trying to rally money and, so on and so forth. Now, as beautiful as Disharoon Park has become in the Hook, Brian wanted better lighting. And let's admit, moving to the SEC in a place like Mississippi State, the Dogs are second in the ACC in average attendance, just a fan or two shy of LSU, at 11,000 plus. The MSU Dudy Noble Field holds 15,000. A couple of years ago, a 3-game weekend series with Ole Miss, close to 40,000 people attended. Now the Dogs hold 23 of the top 25 on-campus crowd records in college baseball history. 18 NCAA since 2000, World Series title in 21, 12 trips to Omaha. The last was 2021. So, the move of the family, going to Mississippi, blah, blah, blah. Say what you want to, but we all, look for the upgrade, right? So with that being said, let's, as Brian Gumbel used to say on HBO, let's move on. Aaron Rodgers' deal in the neighborhood. Okay, hey, this is great. Aaron Rodgers' deal is nearly $20 million. And he will get a table each week at Primanti Brothers and the Union Grill. The Primanti Brothers, one of the great hamburgers of all time. Okay, I'm kidding about that. But
Pittsburgh loves it.
With last night's comeback, and I I had a buddy of mine who plays the ponies, right? And he took a parlay last night for a under 230 under the point total and giving 9.5 to the Pacers. It was a 15-point lead early in the fourth, and then the Pacers rally. Tyrese Halliburton does it for the fourth time, takes the poor defense, but just ridiculous. The Pacers had 24 turnovers last night, but of course we want the radio call, and that's what I bring to the table because after all, these guys know what the heck they're doing.
Rebound, Indiana. 8 seconds to go. The Pacers are not going to call a timeout. Halliburton has it with 3, driving with 2, pulling up, and hitting with 0.3 of a second to go. How many more times can this team do that?
Oh yeah, come on. That's just
got you right where we want you.
Yeah. So with all that being said, we got the game 3 tonight, which ought to be a lot of fun. There was a lot of drama in the Texas game last night. Texas came back at the tying run in the 7th inning on third base. The catcher for Texas Tech ignored her coaches. He's in the third base coaching box. His Glasgow's just a hoot, and he's telling this catcher who was not the fastest. Catchers are not fast, and she was trying to score from second base, and she ignored the signal at the third. Glasgow was trying to stop her. She went right through the stop sign and scored the run, which turned out to be the winning run. And they end up, winning 4-3. So anyway, all that, it was good.
Kids, don't try that at home. If you see a stop sign, stop at it. So
so anyway, it was just a lot of fun last night. There was a lot going on. So
thank you for chronicling it. And as you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers signing, I guess, or announced that this is like pre-engagement, right? This is like going steady. Is he wearing their ring? Did they give him one of his Super Bowl rings to wear on a necklace and saying, "Well, we're going steady," because there isn't a deal, from what I understand. There isn't actually a contract for Aaron Rodgers yet to play for Pittsburgh. But everyone is like, yeah, it'll be here soon.
He's got to pass the physical, and he's going to get in the neighborhood of $20 million, and then he's agreed to show up for the minicamp next week. Gee, he's not going to go sit in a pyramid and drink coffee and eat shrubbery. So are
they going to let him wear number 12 though? That's considering Terry Bradshaw's opinion on
sure
Aaron
Terry's
Rodgers.
not too happy about that, but that's a great question. By the way, and I'd be remiss because I had it written down, I forgot. Mark Boyle is the radio play-by-play voice for the Pacers, and is one of the best in the business. So anyway, I didn't want to be remiss with.
And it took almost 110 games of the NBA season to have a game end like 1 point difference. I mean, these NBA games have gotten ridiculous. It's like, oh, this was a close one. The Pacers won by 10.
After the World Series, the women's college World Series, I switched over. I was following it on my phone. Watch it. I had everything in the world going last night. It was ESPN Central or something. WTON Central last night. One day we're gonna have to bring a camera in. I'm gonna have to show you this operation because I had everything going last night. I'm recording over here, and I got radio going over here on this website just so I can in case I miss this. And it's my own little palace, just like you built.
It's my mind palace is what it is. It's my memory palace.
It's just perfect. All right, so we get into it's not quite officially summer, I guess, for another couple of weeks, but to me it is. It's June, and it'll be a summer weekend. So if the rain moves out of here for a change, we'll have some fun.
Yeah, enjoy yourself. Go,
will.
go have a nice walk. Spoiled, wasn't that Feinstein's book? A
Good
walk
Walk
in the
Spoiled.
woods. A good walk, spoiled.
Yeah.
Enjoy that, and we'll talk to you on Monday morning.
JoJo, you're the best. We'll see you Monday.
Brought to you by the Lunch Pail Foundation. LunchPailDefense.com is where you find them online. Scholarships for kids pursuing their higher education. It's what is important now. That's what WIN stands for there. 434-882-4217. Invasions then, now. We'll get back to Ray hanging on the line. Get to you as well at 434-882-4217. That's our phone number, and emails come into jtinthemorningradio@gmail.com. Text messages as well. This is oh my dear, couple of statistics on D-Day and all of that for you.
In 2024, the American Heart Association celebrates 100 years of life-saving service as the world's leading nonprofit organization focused on heart and brain health. Heart disease still kills more people in the United States each year than all types of cancer combined, but more than half of Americans are unaware of this fact, according to a recent Harris Poll survey conducted for the American Heart Association. However, the majority of heart disease is preventable. New research has improved the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of heart disease and its risk factors. Efforts led by the American Heart Association have reduced deaths from heart disease by half over the past century, and helped people with heart disease live longer and more productive lives while managing their condition and risk factors. To learn more about the American Heart Association's Century of Service and how you can help, visit heart.org/centennial.
We are the entertainment you love and information that shapes your day. We are your lifeline. We are your companion. We are broadcasters.
And good Friday morning to you. It is June 6th, and it is 15 minutes to the top of the hour. It is 7:45 a.m. And hey, good morning to you, Colfax. Currently, it is 68 degrees where you're at right now, looking for a high today of 84 degrees. All right, gang, let's talk about another event for the calendar. This one is happening tomorrow. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, there still might be time. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Cocktails and Cinema. This is the Auburn State Theater presenting Cocktails and Cinema. That is happening tomorrow, Saturday, June 7th from 6 to 10 p.m. Ooh, a little bit of a late night there. I don't know, for those of us who are used to being in bed early. Okay, that's all right. We'll find another gear here. We'll make it happen. The steamy heat of the Bayou meets Auburn's hottest street party of the year, Moonlight on the Bayou. All proceeds will benefit the historic Auburn State Theater Restoration Project. Yeah, that's right. There's cones literally outside right now on the street. They're getting ready to block off the street tomorrow. Yeah, they'll block off the entire street here in front of the Auburn State Theater. Set up some tables, set up some chairs out there, set up a stage. The whole shooting match is happening out there right in front of the Auburn State Theater. It's Cocktails and Cinema happening tomorrow. Enjoy a Creole buffet prepared by Gourmet Garage Catering, New Orleans cocktails, mocktails, and more, and dancing to the high-energy grooves of Tom Rigney and Flambeau. Sponsored by Placer Community Foundation, your ticket includes a chance to win a beautiful jewelry item donated by Ropers. Wear your festive best and join them for a Cajun dance party. This is all happening tomorrow, Saturday, June 7th from 6 to 10 p.m. Tickets, $100 a person, but they're going to support a great cause, the Auburn State Theater. You can get your tickets online, auburnstatetheater.org. That's theater spelled Theatre. Let's try that again, Theatre.org. auburnstatetheater.org. Again, it's Cocktails and Cinema tomorrow, Saturday, June 7th, 6 to 10 p.m. All proceeds will benefit the historic Auburn State Theater Restoration Project. Enjoy a Creole buffet prepared by Gourmet Garage Catering, New Orleans cocktails, mocktails, and more, and dancing to the high-energy grooves of Tom Rigney and Flambeau. Sponsored by Placer Community Foundations. Tickets online, auburnstatetheater.org. Back with your KAHI News right after this.
June is Men's Health Month, and Sunrise Natural Foods has your back. Get 30% off Life Seasons Masculinity for natural testosterone support, Nitro Tea to boost circulation and stamina, and Prosti for prostate and urinary health. Plus, buy one bottle of Life Seasons fruit and veggie gummies, get one free while supplies last. Feel strong, stay sharp, only at Sunrise Natural Foods. In Auburn and Roseville, or at sunrisenaturalfoods.net. Sunrise Natural Foods, made with life's best ingredients.
And here's your KAHI News for Friday, June 6th. I'm Chris Quant. County approves 2 shelter operating contracts with the Gathering Inn to support unsheltered residents. This is a Placer County press release. The Placer County Board of Supervisors has approved 2 agreements with the Gathering Inn to continue operating temporary shelter services for the county's unsheltered residents. The contracts, totaling more than $7 million, will ensure the continued operation of both a congregate shelter and a mobile temporary shelter, along with critical supportive services. The agreements incorporate board directive revisions to enhance residency requirements to ensure Placer County residents are provided shelter services. Clients must prove they have been a resident of Placer County for at least 1 year by showing either a state ID or having a member of the homeless liaison team vouch for their residency. The agreements also restrict the length of stay per resident to 180 days. Each contract also includes an annual performance goal of at least 30% of the shelter's residents transitioning into alternative housing. Quote, homelessness is a deeply human issue. We must offer help, but we must also have clear goals and expectations, unquote, said Board Chair and District 1 Supervisor Bonnie Gore. Quote, these contracts are an important part of that, and I'm proud of the direction we're heading, unquote. Management of the contracts will transition to the Health and Human Services Department, which works closely with the Homeless Liaison Team made up of representatives from HHS, the Sheriff's Office, and the Probation Department. In response to rising operational costs, the agreement reflects an 11% increase over the 2-year contract period. However, the county has identified and offset $1.25 million in costs by using opioid settlement funds to support key staffing roles focused on substance use and mental health services. Quote, we are pleased to see the continued success of the Gathering Inn as our unsheltered residents progress towards employment and permanent housing, unquote, said District 5 Supervisor Cindy Gustafson. Quote, the journey out of homelessness is quite difficult and it truly takes a village to make a difference. I am proud of how Placer County is managing its homeless programs, unquote. The Gathering Inn has provided shelter and support services for Placer County's unhoused population for over 2 decades. Their comprehensive approach has helped hundreds of individuals transition from homelessness towards stable housing and self-sufficiency. Back with more news after this.
Don't miss our Made in the USA sale.
Naturewood Home Furnishings has always carried Sacramento's largest selection of American-made furniture, and it's all on sale now. The absolute best living rooms, bedrooms, dining rooms, mattresses, home office, and more.
Save in every department.
And we're proud to offer so many choices during this special sale. Naturewood, you know, the building with the water wheel.
Tell them Brooklyn Nova and Orion sent you.
Tune in to the KAHI Corral every Saturday at 7 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Every centimeter of toe growth past what it should be, it's 110 pounds on the navicular bone of extra weight.
God, it makes my legs ache right now.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's scary. Because the navicular, you're done.
Yeah, the navicular bone is very important.
Yeah, you're not riding or doing much else.
Listen in to Connie and the Gang, and you'll never know what you're gonna find. Everything from pets in the studio, oh yeah, that's a real thing, to the advice you've come to count on. So join Connie and a cast of thousands on the KAHI Corral Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. here on 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Continuing now with your KAHI News from the Morning Brew. Trump and Xi had a, quote, very good phone call, unquote. President Trump said he spoke to Chinese President Xi Jinping the first time since Trump's inauguration in January for about 90 minutes yesterday and agreed to meet in the near future for trade talks. According to Trump, the two addressed the issue of rare earth metals, which China stopped exporting in April in response to Trump's tariffs, though Beijing's readout of the phone call did not mention rare earths. Trump said the call focused on trade and did not delve into matters concerning Iran, Ukraine, or Russia. A day before the call, Trump posted on social media that he liked Xi, but that the Chinese leader was, quote, extremely hard to make a deal with, unquote. Procter & Gamble is cutting 15% of its non-manufacturing workforce. The company that makes half of the products at your local CVS or Walgreens announced it's eliminating 7,000 roles as part of a restructuring. P&G said the cuts aren't a cost-cutting measure, though earlier this year the company admitted it was considering cutting costs after it reported a decline in sales and lowered its annual outlook due to consumer uncertainty. As part of the restructuring, P&G reportedly plans to exit some product categories. And from the Morning Brew, here's what else is brewing. The European Central Bank cut interest rates for the 8th time in the last year as the Eurozone attempts to recover from the fallout of the U.S.'s trade war. Kleenex parent company Kimberly-Clark is spinning off the tissue brand outside the U.S. in a $3 billion deal with a Brazilian manufacturer. NBA team sponsorship revenue increased 8% this season to $1.62 billion thanks to the growing use of jersey patches. Hooters abruptly closed more than 30 locations, calling it a, quote, difficult decision, unquote, 3 months after filing for bankruptcy. And TSA is researching haptic technology that would allow security agents to pat down passengers in virtual reality without physically touching them, 404 Media reported. And finally, also from the Morning Brew, today's word of the day is dissuaded, meaning persuaded someone not to do something. Dissuaded. And that's your KAHI News for this Friday, June 6th. I'm Chris Quant. Back with more after this.
We all know that money spent on politicians is nothing more than a bribe. Citizens United called it free speech, but we know better. But what if we could balance the scale a few bucks at a time? That's what we're doing at the Six Pack, taking small donations and adding them up to make things more fair. Crack open some change. Support the Six Pack. Paid for by the Six Pack, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. www.thesixpack.com. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hi, this is Mike Nichols. What are you doing Sunday? Join me for the KAHI Swap Shop this Sunday morning at 8. If you have something to sell or if you're looking for something, maybe you're having a yard sale, or perhaps you have a freebie you want to give away, you can give me a call and we can chat about it live on the air.
What do you say now? If it's a nice day now, what are you doing Sunday, baby?
What keeps you up at night? Is it the mysteries of the universe, the secrets of history, or maybe the stories no one else dares to tell? I'm Frank Morano, and I invite you to discover The Other Side of Midnight, where curiosity never sleeps. From the fascinating to the forbidden, we tackle it all. Catch the conversation weeknights from 2 to 6 a.m. right here on the Voice of the Foothills, FM 104.5 and AM 950. KAHI, the night is alive. Join us.
McCullough's is the Foothills department store, offering a diverse selection of products for the whole family, from clothing, shoes, accessories, to home goods and gifts. McCullough's focuses on quality and customer satisfaction for locals and visitors alike. Whether you're looking for everyday essentials or unique finds, McCullough's has something for everyone. So save time, save gas, save money by shopping McCullough's department store in the Auburn Town Center right off of Elm.
And now, a mental health minute.
That's right. It's time for our Mental Health Minute as we start to wrap up this week. You know, we've got a lot of information, a lot of voices that are coming at us throughout the day. Sometimes some of those voices are in our own head. So how are we giving ourselves space just for our own mental health? Well, here's a thought exercise. This is from the book I'm Awesome. Here's why. By the way, you're awesome as well. And this mental health exercise today is it's kind of a fun one. I don't think it matters what age you are. I think we all have dreams, and it's never too late. It's never too late to become what you might have been. That's a post-it note that I have up on my mirror at home. And the title of today's thing is Discover Your Dreams. It's easy to take back down. Let's try that again. It's easy to back down from fear of failing instead of choosing a sure thing. However, if you really want to feel awesome, you're going to need to break out of this comfort zone and go after what you want. But first things first, you got to think about what exactly do you want? And this is really interesting. So I think it could be any phase of life. You're like, well, okay, maybe I did that thing, and there's still this thing that I haven't gotten to that I want to get to. Well, it's never too late to do that. I was watching an interview with Jimmy Fallon, you know, the host of The Tonight Show. Was on Saturday Night Live for years and years, has a really great storied career, and he said he knew from when he was a kid that Saturday Night Live was the goal. It wasn't movies, it wasn't film, it was Saturday Night Live. That was his target. He set a goal, he said by 25, before I'm 25, I'm going to be on Saturday Night Live. He set a goal, that was his dream, and he did it. And my gosh, was that inspirational to hear. And it just gave me just a reminder that, hey, whatever you're dreaming, whatever those big dreams are, what you have, what I have, what we have together, we can do that. So we can write that down. So what you do is you write down a column. Hey, what do I want? And then you write down another column. What will I do to get it? And that's how we can go about discovering our dreams. Mental Health Minute. Let's pause now for Station ID. Back with the 8 o'clock hour after this.
FM 104.5, K2A3CM, Auburn, and AM 950, KAHI, Auburn.
Wake up, it's Chris in the morning light. On KAHI, a day starts right. Foothill News and a smile or two, with a dad joke fresh and the weather too. He's the voice of the hills, keeping it real. Local talk with hometown feel. So grab your coffee, don't hit snooze. It's Chris in the morning with your daily news.
Cue the dancers and Big Finish. And good morning to you. It is right smack dab at the top of the hour. It is 8 a.m. here on this Friday, June 6th. Chris Quant with you here, holding it down. Beautiful, gorgeous, air-conditioned Studio A, KAHI Studios downtown, getting ready for another fantastic day. Hope you are doing well today as you're getting your day started. Thanks so much for taking us along with you. Now, if you just heard the date, June 6th, and you're wondering, wait a minute, that sounds very familiar. I might need to remember something that, or should I be remembering something about that? Well, you absolutely should. Today, also known as D-Day, and it became that 81 years ago today. 81 years ago today, it was D-Day. That is the day that, for you kids listening there that haven't quite taken this in history class yet, it's the day that the Allies landed on the beaches of Normandy to begin the push towards Germany to end World War II. Now, there was one guy. He was called the Supreme Allied Commander. His name was Dwight D. Eisenhower, later became President of the United States. So there's some more history for you kids. But it basically, the decision rested all of this to send this massive, the largest invading force the world had ever seen up to that point. Can you imagine you're the guy that everybody's given you their consultation, all their researchers have done the research, all the weather forecasters are forecasting the weather, all of your generals, all of your staff, everybody has said, well, we think this is it or this isn't it, but whatever the decision was, you are the one who makes the ultimate final call to say, all of these resources, all of these people, all of these human beings, all of this greatest clash in history, you're the guy that says, yep, let's go ahead and do that. Well, that was Dwight D. Eisenhower. I cannot imagine the pressure that was on that man's shoulders, but he did it. And he basically, before the troops went off into battle, he said, gave them a very famous speech, and one of the words, or one of the phrases from it is, "The eyes of the world are upon you." But turns out that if you didn't know this, Eisenhower also wrote an alternate speech in case the invasion was unsuccessful. This is from the Morning Brew this morning. On what would later become one of the world's most coveted pieces of scrap paper, the general wrote, quote, "My decision to attack at this time and place was based upon the best information available. The troops, the air, and the Navy did all of that bravely and devotion to duty could do. If any blame or fault attaches the attempt, it is mine alone." The original draft included the phrase, "this particular operation," but that was crossed out and replaced with "my decision to attack." Hey, maybe somebody's calling in to give us some more information. Let's see if we can answer the phone here. KAHI Radio, you're on the air. Good morning. Hello, good morning. KAHI Radio, you're on the air. All right, well, and silence. There we go. So apparently they didn't want to be on the air, but thanks for calling anyway. All right, so talking about the decision, it was Dwight D. Eisenhower's alone. He wrote down an alternate speech there. And he said, basically, it's really interesting. He said, "This particular operation," but he crossed it out and he replaced it with "my decision to attack." So, you know, I think it's just a great reminder. I think about that for when I look at leadership, when I think of leadership, somebody who recognizes the position that they're in and takes that ownership. That's one of our company values, and one of the things we like to say, it's not just some fancy poster on the wall. It actually is something that we're taught to do. Like, yeah, it may rest on your decision or on your shoulders, and the decision could go one way or the other. But the respect of taking the ownership for that and saying, yeah, I fully recognize that whatever the celebration or the blame, that truly lies on my shoulders. So thanks, Dwight D. Eisenhower, for just a reminder of what a leader looks like, what we should aspire to as leaders in our homes, as leaders in our businesses, as leaders in our communities, how leadership looks. And he ended up putting that note, by the way, in his wallet. Never had to use it, thank God. But it's good to know that, it's good to know that he didn't use it, having the hindsight of history. But also that he was prepared to take responsibility one way. Producer Shane back in the building. Producer Shane, good morning. How you doing?
Doing wonderful, Chris.
Now, I suspect you and I have a similar timeline, maybe off by a few years. But tell me, do you recognize this song here?
Butterfly in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
I can go twice.
Familiar tune there, isn't it?
Indeed.
Oh, yeah. You're a kid growing up in the 80s or the 90s, even the 2000s. That's right. Reading Rainbow, hosted by LeVar Burton, premiered on this day in 1983. Way back in 1983. All right. Yeah, all you millennials. There we go. The songs of our childhood. Man, it was Reading Rainbow, it was Sesame Street, it was Mr. Rogers for me. Those were the big three on PBS.
Likewise, yeah.
Growing up with that, watching I always loved, it was always, you knew it was a good day when either on Reading Rainbow or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or sometimes I think they did it on Sesame Street. Do you remember the crayon video that they put together of showing how crayons were made?
Yeah, Mr. Rogers. That was so cool.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Anytime they did sort of a factory tour, I don't know what it is about a little kid and like that, and you watch that. And there's this comedian that I see on Instagram. He'll do things, and it's all nostalgia. He's talking about the same stuff that I grew up with. And he's talking about, I watched that crayon factory tour, and there's this sweet lady, and she's just packing the crayons together, and there's music going, and people are jiving, and the crayons are being made. When I was an adult, I worked in a factory, and it was nothing like that. Just some dim lighting and just back pain is all that. It was nothing like I imagined it from that Crayola Crayons factory video. But I loved it whenever Mr. Rogers would do that, or LeVar Burton. Now, you actually have a story that growing up, he actually came to, what was it, a dairy farm close
to you? A dairy near to my house, yeah.
Okay. And you went to tune in. And I don't think it quite worked out that way, did it?
It didn't. I went and visited a dairy on a field trip in kindergarten. And they said, we were on Reading Rainbow. We'll be on in a few weeks, and gave us the date. I tuned in on that day, and it wasn't the dairy. I was so disappointed. It was Star Trek.
Gosh.
It was the crossover episode with LeVar Burton.
Still a very cool episode.
It is.
So,
In hindsight, now as an adult, I appreciate it. But as a kindergartner, I didn't care. I wanted to see cows.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're like, hey, they're going to be near my house. I want to see the cows. It's cows. But that's the one episode of Reading Rainbow that really stands out to me because maybe I just love that he went behind the scenes Star Trek The Next Generation because he was a cast member on that. Geordie LaForge, head of engineering, by the way. And I just loved seeing how they put the show together. Even back then, as a little kid, I'm like, wait a minute, those doors on the bridge don't just open automatically. There's a guy behind the set there that pulls on a rope that actually opens up the doors and closes them as they go through. But it's like, that's the magic of movie making and TV making. And I absolutely love that he gave us little viewers a little behind the scenes tour of what it was like to be on Star Trek The Next Generation. So very, very cool. But yeah, but you're like, wait a minute. I'm expecting cows. Give me cows. Like, meet my expectations there. So, well, really good memories, really good times. Hey, by the way, if today is your birthday, happy stinking birthday to you. I hope you have a fantastic day today. I hope you enjoy the day. And hey, speaking of your day, we need to find out what the weather is looking like for your day. For that, we're going to turn it over to meteorologist Tim Root. Timmy, how are we looking out there today?
Friday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today. Still no rain in the forecast, and the high temperature in the mid to upper 80s, close to 90 in spots. Mostly clear in the low 60s overnight, very light winds. Saturday and Sunday is going to be mostly sunny. It's going to be hot over the weekend. Figure about 88 to 94 degrees Saturday and Sunday with mostly sunny skies. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
9 minutes past the top of the hour, 8:09 a.m. Producer Shane, when we come back, I've got a story. It's called Adventures with Chris this morning. Mother Nature and I have had some run-ins this week. Let's just say that. Also coming up soon, Mary Jane Pop is going to be calling in. We're going to be talking to Mary Jane, see all the things that she's putting together for her show this weekend, Pop Talk in Search of the Truth. We'll be back with more right after this.
I thought it was just stress. But then it felt like I was stuck in a state of panic, obsessed with worry that something bad would happen if I didn't complete endless rituals. I couldn't solve this on my own. So I made the call. I found a doctor who diagnosed me with OCD. Now I'm able to live more in the present.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
This is Stephen Hill. Catch Hearts of Space, Sunday nights at 8, here on the all-new FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI. The same voice of the foothills, more powerful than ever.
I can't stay awake any longer, George.
It'll be on right after the Night Owl movie.
It's 4:30 in the morning.
It's a fantastic 10-second commercial, Helen, and I'm standing right there pointing to the car. Grams!
Well, what, you on yet, Georgie?
Not yet, but you're falling asleep.
What's this on my forehead?
Cheese dip, Grams.
You fell asleep in the cheese dip.
Must have fallen asleep with the cheese dip.
Oh, George, why does your TV commercial have to be on so late?
Our ad budget could only afford fringe time, but that's okay, because a lot of people are up at Grams!
I'm up. Are you on the TV?
No, but soon.
Well, I'm all set right here next to the TV. I wouldn't miss you for...
If your advertising isn't reaching the people you want, radio definitely will. With its many different formats, radio reaches every lifestyle. So you can target more messages to exactly who you want, when you want, at a price you can still afford.
Okay, Helen, here it comes.
Oh, Gramps, it's George! It's George!
Oh, I'll get it. Let me turn off the TV first. Hello, George. Must have hung up.
Oh, brother.
Want to wake up your advertising? Try radio. It's right on the button. A message from the Radio Advertising Bureau.
12 minutes past the top of the hour, 8:12 a.m. All right, now before we went to the break there, producer Shane, we were we're talking about my run-ins with Mother Nature this week have been more than I would have expected. So you shared earlier this week that I woke up Sunday morning, had a tick running across my face. And that'll wake you up early on a Sunday morning. Turns out it was fine. We captured it. No reports of any other ticks in the house, thank goodness. This morning, walking along, I go on my walk every morning. It's early in the morning, so the little critters are still out there. Now, a few mornings ago, I saw that a skunk was out and gave it a wide berth, as you do when it comes to a skunk. Like, nope, you stay over there. I'm going to stay over here, and we'll get along just fine. So that happened. The next day, he wasn't there, but I figured, well, let's just play it safe. Today, I thought, all right, I don't see anything, gonna be okay. Walking along, doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doo, come around a corner, I hear this little skittering off to the side, what I thought was a cat. No, when I turned my head, I'm looking at the backside of a skunk with its tail raised up, and like, oh no. And it was at that moment that I felt a little bit, some drops on my leg. I was wearing shorts, and I thought, oh no. Oh, did I just get sprayed with a skunk? So I've been super self-conscious. I did get sprayed with a skunk, by the way. I don't think it was very bad, but does the studio smell bad at all? I'm super...
Thankfully, it doesn't today.
Okay. I'm super self-conscious. Well, I came back when we have this little mud room, indoor-outdoor room, and when I came back, I basically stripped down to my skivvies and said, all right, I'm just going to leave the clothes out here. I couldn't quite tell. Couldn't tell if my nose had just gotten used to the smell or I had been outdoors and it just dissipated off. And I thought, well, maybe I'm safe. I don't smell it anymore. Took my workout clothes off, put them on a table in that room there, and then came in, scrubbed down, took a shower. And then as I was heading back out to come to work here this morning, I walked through that room again. I was like, oh, I definitely got sprayed. That is pungent. And I think it's just a little bit. But Mr. Skunk and I had a little bit of a run-in, so I will guarantee you, thank God it's not stinking up the studio here, but I will guarantee you I'm not going to be going down that path for a few days now. We'll give him his time, and he'll keep his space, and we'll have all of that just be nice and happy away from each other. Hey, it's 15 minutes past the top of the hour. That must mean it's time for Mary Jane. Mary Jane is on the line. Mary Jane, good morning. How are you?
Burn the clothes.
I'm thinking I might have to. Has that ever happened to you or to any of your pets? Have any of your pets gotten sprayed?
Yeah.
Oh,
my
boy.
dog's got skunked a couple of times. And you know what they say for animals? You're supposed to put them in tomato juice.
That's what I thought. I thought I was going to have to take a bath in tomato soup.
Excuse me. I've got 2 white dogs. They would turn out to be pink dogs if I put them in tomato juice. So, no, I could not do that. There was a formula that Rick, my husband, found online that had, I don't know, some little baking soda and a couple of other things. And we did it with that, and it was fine. But, yeah, the skunk, it just has to wear off.
That's
even off of you. Remind me to bring some Febreze with me.
Yeah, next time.
Okay.
Mary Jane, no joke, and Shane can attest to this. I lit a candle just in case in the studio today because I'm like, I'm not sure. I thought, and I have had this since for the longest time. I have a thing of Axe body spray that I thought, I don't know. I mean, am I just going to make it worse by putting Axe body?
No. From head to toe. Put it on.
Just douse yourself in it and try and get. Yeah, it was pretty pungent. When I walked back in that room and smelled the clothes, I thought, oh, son of a gun. So I should probably.
They're so cute.
He was an adorable little guy too, except from the end that I saw. That was not so adorable.
Wrong end.
Yeah.
Wrong end. And some people have skunks as pets. But
I know, right?
I think they de-skunk them or something. I don't know what they do, but
they do something. We were at the state fair a few years ago, and they have this little wilderness area there at Cal Expo, and there was a skunk. They had him not roaming around freely. He was kind of behind a barrier, but everybody's like, wait a minute. And they're like, no, he's fine. They did whatever they do, so he's not going to spray you. But I was like, oh, I don't want to take any chances.
Yeah,
here.
Well, that famous last words. It's not going to spray you.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, no, yeah. The famous last words. No, it's fine. Go ahead. That's oh my gosh.
Okay, I got a couple of stupid jokes for you and Shane.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Okay, which U.S. state has the smallest soft drink?
Which U.S. state has the smallest soft drink? Oh, I don't know. Shane, you got any guesses there?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Minnesota.
Oh, God.
I told you it was stupid.
Let's do that.
One more. One more.
There we go. We got to get a legit rim shot in there. Okay, there we go. All right, what do you got?
Thank you. Okay. Why couldn't the leopard play hide and seek?
Why couldn't... Is it leopard, did you say?
Yes, a leopard play hide and seek.
Why couldn't a leopard... I think something about being spotted. He was easily spotted?
You got it.
I got it!
He was always spotted. Woohoo! You should give yourself cheers. You got to have something that's cheers. Bring that up.
There we go.
There
we go.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
On the show today, tomorrow, it's going to be kind of a real diverse show. But do you dream? Do you remember your dreams?
I do remember my dreams. It's so funny that these topics come up when they do, Mary Jane. Hand to heart, yesterday I was talking to my son, and he's getting ready to go over to Japan for his senior year as a foreign exchange student. And one of the things that they said is it's full immersion. So he's a little nervous that he's not going to know enough. He's been learning Japanese for the last year or so. But they said, folks who have gone there and have done this in the past said, after a while that you're there, you'll actually be dreaming in the language of the country that you're in. Your dreams will be in that. And I reminded him of that. And he said, yeah, people don't talk in my dreams. He said, do people talk to you in your dreams? And I said, yeah, they do. He's like, nobody ever talks to me in my dreams. Do you have people talk to you, Mary Jane, or is it pretty quiet? That was interesting to me.
Mine's not quiet, but it's not necessarily talking. Yes, they do talk to me.
Okay.
But I have really weird dreams. I mean, they're very, very strange. I don't know if that has something to do with my character or because I'm on, I have shows that, I have kind of. But anyway, I've got the Dreamweaver on.
Oh,
so
really?
Yes. And she's been syndicated and all that.
Yeah.
Really, people used to call her and tell them their dreams, and then she would tell them what it means and all that. And one thing I got to ask her, somebody told me a long time ago, did you ever dream of falling?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, they told me that if you dream of falling and you hit the ground, you don't get up.
Well, that's what they would say.
Done.
Yeah, if you actually dream about hitting the ground, they're like, that's it for you.
Yeah, but she said no.
Oh,
that's
really?
Not true. No.
Oh.
Well, but I said, how do I know? Because if they're dead, they can't tell me if they were falling at the time.
Well, that's right. Like they say, if you die in your dream, then you've actually passed away. So that's an interesting thing. Is it an urban legend there, a myth, or I guess if it happened, nobody
find out.
Came back to tell.
And there's a whole bunch of things. I would talk about flying, which is another one that's a very classic dream. There's a whole lot of classic symbols in dreams.
Well,
so I want to find out about all of those.
That and when you're trying to run, especially when you're trying to run away, but you can't, it's almost like you're moving in slow motion. That's happened to me.
I had one. There was an old movie, and I loved watching it. Every time it comes up, I watch it. It's about being on a planet, and then there was this really big monster that's like an electric monster that would kill people and all that. That doggone thing was chasing me one time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm running like crazy, and I'm keeping ahead of it. So I was happy. But yeah, I dream. That's the kind of stupid dreams that I come up with. Wild stuff like that. But it's okay.
Yeah, Mary Jane, do you ever have? I'll tell you mine here, and then I don't know if this will spark something for you. That reoccurring dream, that stress dream, and I don't know, Shane, if you have the same thing. Mine has been forever, and I don't know if this is the performer side of me or the people pleaser side of me, but my reoccurring dream is I'm backstage. It's I'm doing a play. I all of a sudden discover during the intermission that there's a third act, and I didn't know about the third act, and now I am desperately trying to memorize lines for this third act before the intermission ends and have to go back on stage. So I've had dreams where literally I'm holding the book in my hand, and as I'm walking out stage, I'm just taking one last glance, hoping that somehow photographic memory will take over and that I can somehow remember these lines. But I have had that dream more than on one occasion. Shane or Mary Jane, anything from you that you have those reoccurring stress dreams?
Not like that.
I don't have recurring dreams. Shane, do you? it's like one of a kind. When I'm done, I don't want to see it again.
When I was a kid and I was sick with strep throat, I always had a recurring dream. But outside of that, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, maybe that's just
Whoa.
my nervousness.
You know what one of the classic dreams is? Because I called Stephanie yesterday. I said, hey, give me an idea of some of the things we'll talk about on Saturday. And she said the most dreamed dream is being naked in front of an audience.
Yeah.
I've had dreams where I was late for being on the air. That I think is a classic for people like you and me.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane too. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to be late.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to be there to take over and all that kind of stuff.
That is true. Well, that is really interesting. Boy, that's not relatable to all of humanity. I don't know what is. That's really interesting. Going to be excited to hear that.
And then this kind of really shocked me. The world has been taken over by noise and how it took control of our world. Chris Burdick is a specialist. He's a science journalist and researcher and all that. And I had no idea that noise pollution, basically, can cause hearing loss, sleep disorders, learning deficits, and even heart attacks. And it'll kill you.
No
noise
kidding.
can kill us. I mean, I grew up with noise. It's called radio.
Right.
It's
so true.
It's in our ear constantly, and I'm going, oh boy, we're doomed. It's coming to get us.
Yeah, I don't know, Mary Jane. I had a former coworker that for a while lived in Midtown Manhattan, and the noise never stopped. And he would have to wear earplugs and put a mask over his eyes to keep the light out and to try and keep the noise out. But yeah, depending on where you're at, it just never stops.
Well, I'm going to ask them. I said, what can we do? I mean, you can't run away from it.
Yeah.
You can't hide unless you go out, in a cave someplace out in the boonies. So what are you going to do? But anyway, he has some good ideas, though. He did tell me, I'm anal. I always call the guest the day before, or a couple of days before, say, hey, looking forward to having you on the show, yada, yada. And he said he always gets their earplugs that performers, musicians use.
Oh, yeah.
Like rock bands.
In-ears, yeah.
And he said, yeah, those are the best. He said that they block out a lot of the stuff. And it's not only decibels. We always think if it's loud and boisterous and everything. It's rhythm, it's frequency. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about. And, you kind of really think about it. This drives me crazy. You'll be stopping at a stoplight, and then all of a sudden a car or a van drives up, and it's boom.
You think there's an earthquake happening? Yeah.
And my car is vibrating, and I'm vibrating. And it's like, are those guys deaf?
Will be.
Are they going deaf?
It's amazing what your body can handle in your 20s that then later on you're thinking, oh, that probably wasn't a good idea. Mary Jane, one thing that I think about, because I think there is that and we're so used to noise. I know like I put on something when I'm getting ready to go to bed or something like that. I'm also curious about what do we do as human beings with a complete lack of noise? If we were even for 30 minutes without any noise whatsoever, how our bodies would react to that. It's just thinking about the opposite side of the spectrum,
Well, let's put it this way. I'll ask him. I can tell you, I'd love to have 30 minutes of silence. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But, I know long periods of time we can't. Because we're animals that need that kind of interaction. And we need, and you know what? People who move from city to country for weeks at a time, they can't sleep.
Right.
So they're so used to the noise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
like a little noise.
Yeah. I got to have some. I grew up just living within earshot of train tracks down in Antelope Roseville area down there. And yeah, it's how quickly you become used to the noise and then you're just used to trains going all throughout the night. So
hey,
you do
trains,
adapt.
Nah. Well, I live not that far from the airport.
Oh, okay. So, that's okay. That's a different level.
But you shut them off. You don't. I don't even hear them anymore. I just don't.
That's true.
Unless I'm outside.
Yeah. Unless you do it, your brain shuts it off. Hey, Mary Jane, we're going to take a break now. We're going to pause for some commercials here. We'll be back with Mary Jane Pop right after this.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Adam here to remind you that Chris in the Morning really is the best way to start your day. And he's not paying me to say this at all. Wink. And yes, he really is holding it down in beautiful Studio A in the KAHI Worldwide Headquarters Studios, Monday through Fridays, 6 to 9 a.m. Chris in the Morning here on FM 104.5, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Now where is that $3 gift card he said he'd leave me for saying nice things about him? Man, that guy's a cheapskate.
Placer Farm Supply is celebrating 75 years serving our community. It was wonderful to see everyone who came to our Customer Appreciation Day. For those of you that could not attend, we are still running specials on diamond lemon rice and alfalfa hay. We are welcoming spring with our new garden center, including flowers, herbs, vegetables, soil, and adorable pots. Stock up on your supplies for your flock and pick up some baby chicks. They are sure to go fast with all the demand, so come down soon. Supply is limited. Placer Farm Supply for all your farming and ranching needs.
28 minutes past the top of the hour, 8:28 a.m. If you're just tuning in, we're doing what we do on Fridays during the 8 o'clock hour. We're talking to Mary Jane Popp. So Mary Jane, so far on the show, we're talking to the Dreamweaver. That's very cool. Talking about dreams, talking about noise pollution. It's funny that you say that because there's a leaf blower going on right outside the studio right now. So it's very...
it's so funny that you had this commercial about baby chicks.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning. There is a rooster in the neighborhood.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm serious. It's like, crowing. And I'm going, so I was curious. I asked Siri, I said, why do roosters crow? Did you ever wonder about that?
Oh, good question. I thought it was just nature's alarm clock. They're just announcing the new day. But what's the official?
That's one of them.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. But it's also warding off predators, showing dominance. I guess it wants to be the top of the cock, or, that's the way they do it.
Cock of the walk there, yeah. Yeah.
But seriously, honestly, I went outside because I let the dogs out before I feed them, and all of a sudden there's the cock-a-doodle-doo. And I'm going, where the heck is the rooster?
We've had a couple, and one we had his name was Sideways because he would walk. He got injured from some other roosters, and so he was a very tame rooster. He was great, so he kind of limped with a sideways, but. He was just the sweetest guy. They're known to be some vicious guys sometimes, but we loved him, and he'd do his thing in the morning. And there were some mornings where I was not ready for him to get up. But they'll do it throughout the day as well. But so that makes a lot of sense, though, if they're trying to ward off predators. That it's not just the morning. They're doing it throughout the day. Interesting.
And then, of course, our astrologer is going to be on with us also.
Oh yes.
Mercury. And I got to ask him, with this whole thing with President Trump and Elon Musk and going after each other now, is that for real? Is it going to last? What's going to be happening in the future? And see if the planets are going to align.
Oh,
he is our astrologer, and he is also a mystic. So that combination, you should have some answers for us. We got to have some answers.
Can you ask him if Taylor Swift is going to make a breakup song over this and probably just make millions of...
Do I care? I mean, she's great. She's a fantastic performer, but I don't care. She's got so much money. She can do anything she wants.
Well, did you hear that she's buying one of her goals, and she's actually making it happen. She's buying back her entire library from the record company.
No, she did.
Oh, she did? Yeah.
That did happen.
Yeah. And good on her.
And I don't know how many millions or billions of dollars.
Right?
It was billions of dollars that she bought it. But, hey,
yeah.
But what is she going to do with it when she dies? Leave it to somebody else to sell it?
I don't know. Go to another record company. But for a while she's alive, she's got the IP. She's got the intellectual property over it. So good on her. I'm happy for her.
And she should.
Yeah.
She did it. It was all her work.
Yeah.
That's on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That reminds me, talking about, your own works and everything, Pop Star Talk.
Yes.
That's kind of what I've done with the interviews that I've done with celebrities, and I call it the famous and the infamous. And one of the most popular that I've had on Pop Star Talk, you'll laugh, the most numbers that we had, well, we got some great numbers, but the Mayflower Madam.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah. Was this in Washington, D.C.? Was that?
Yeah.
Is that where she was at?
The Mayflower Hotel.
Oh, Mayflower Hotel. That's right.
Madam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she had a black book that if it got out,
Oh,
a
boy.
lot of politicians, all the way up.
Wow.
Could have some major problems. But she was a delight when I interviewed her. It was a few years back.
Yeah.
But she went through court cases and all that kind of stuff. And she said, I really wasn't out of the Mayflower Hotel, but, that's fine. It gave him a title. She wrote a book and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that was one of the most popular. And by the way, were you a fan of the TV series MASH?
Oh, I loved MASH.
Okay. Well, then Hot Lips.
Houlihan, Major Houlihan.
Yep, Loretta Swit.
Yeah.
She just passed away this last
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah, she did.
And so I dug out. I had a couple of interviews with her, and I dug one out, and she is a delight. She is a delight. So that's going to be coming up. That'll be coming up next Friday. Every Friday we put up a new show. I'm not even sure what's on this Friday, but next Friday is going to be Loretta because it was so close. It seems like I'm digging out interviews all the time. These people are leaving us,
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. Anyway, I invite everybody, of course, to listen to Pop Talk on FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI from 5 to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning and 9 to 11 p.m. on Sunday evening, and then 24/7 at KAHI.com. Just click on listen and you can hear us. Pop Star Talk, easy. Any network that you are on listening to podcasts, whether it's Apple or
Spotify,
YouTube, and
Stitcher, all that
of
good
them.
stuff. Yeah.
It's on all of them. Or you can just Google Pop Star Talk, and that's POPP, Pop Star Talk, and it'll come up. And I've got stars, 5 decades worth. That's a long time. And about 150 or 160 that I've got. And I go back and people say, well, what did you ask? What the heck? You think I can remember 30 years ago what I asked somebody?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I've got to listen to them so that I can talk about them.
Yeah. You can queue them up, tee them up. So, Mary Jane, that's fantastic. Yeah, we've got Pop Star Talk. You can find that wherever you find your podcasts. Also, Pop Talk in Search of the Truth is happening this weekend. You can also hear it online at KAHI.com. Hey, Mary Jane, we got to run here, but any words of wisdom for us before we go?
Absolutely. It's a short one, but it's really a very, very one that we should think about. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. How do you like that? That's profound.
I love that. Hey, speaking of steps, this is a little bit more of a lighter version, but a shower thought for today. Sports are evolved versions of fetch.
I like that. It's true. That's the reason I never took up golf.
I was just going to say, that's exactly what golf is.
Yes. You're just chasing a little ball. You hit it. You chase it.
You go into the woods. You go into the sand. You go into the water. That's where my golf game is anyway. So
I know we've run out of time, but I got to tell you real quick. One time I played golf. I'd done putt-putt and all that.
Yeah.
Real golf. I was so mad, so angry. I was so frustrated. I took the club and I wrapped it around a tree.
Oh.
So I said, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore.
I believe it. Yeah, it'll drive you mad. It'll absolutely drive. I don't know how people play that game over and over again, but if you do, more power to you. Hey, Mary Jane, so good to talk to you. Love keeping our Friday tradition alive. We're going to head back now to JT in the Morning, already in progress, but hey, it was worth it because such good conversation with Mary Jane. Again, Pop Talk in Search of the Truth happening this weekend, Saturday and Sundays. Catch it all online also at KAHI.com and also Pop Star Talk. You can find it where you find your podcast. Until we see each other again early Monday morning, as always, gang, remember to be kind, be honest, be yourself, and remember, you can't hate somebody if you're hugging them. Have a fantastic day. I will see you on Monday. And by the way, if it's your birthday, happy stinking birthday to you. Hope you have a great day and a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Under for 8 years, nobody's getting a new tax cut except maybe people who work on tips, and if you work overtime. But it's not like we're going to wake up and there's going to be a whole new batch of tax cuts passed. It's just that these aren't going to expire, and that's the key in this. Yes.
Well, it's kind of fascinating that SEP IRA stuff, or in the old C corporation. And Yeah, so
Anyway, Andy, you have a great weekend, sir. Thank you for the call.
Hey, thanks for doing what you do.
Always.
It's a reason to set my alarm at 5.
Well, I'm glad you do.
I'm an early riser anyway.
And if you only get an hour or so of the program, you can go to the podcast. It's firstthingtoday.com is apparently they've set it up now, so it's there, or joethomasinthemorning.com. Bob in Farmville, we were talking about when we had to run to break, Bob, and I appreciate your patience talking about this Rubenesque reconciliation. What about this question, Bob, that I brought up as a political bill? This is a bill designed to help the economy grow fast enough to protect the Republican majority in the midterms.
Well, I don't buy the argument that you got to hurry up and pass this no matter what, just because of some of the good things that are in it. Yes, do I want the Trump tax cuts extended, but they don't expire to the end of the year. This artificial date of July 4 that we have to do it. And if you recall, I was for 2 separate bills. I didn't want to throw it all into one basket because I was afraid this would happen. Either it wouldn't get passed or it would pass something that was big and ugly, and versus let's get the win on the border for the president, let's get what we need to do there and a few other things. I didn't want to do the big massive bill because I was afraid that this might happen. But the bottom line is